afternoon. Welcome, welcome. This is Baji the handsome cat and his sister Suji, the also very handsome and beautiful cat. We also have Fuji, we have me. Welcome to our live. We are going live now. If you're seeing this video as a replay later on when the live video gets uploaded, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining and thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate your support and thank you for being here. Let me share this live on the channel so that you can catch it. Hi, Fuji. So you can catch it and I can notify our friends that we have now gone live. And you can watch the kitty cats do their bird watching at the window. So let me put that right there and share this live. And if you're joining, tell us how you're doing. Give us an update. Say hi in the chat. Dominate the chat. And would love to hear from you. And we will start to read a new book today. It's gonna be awesome. And we will catch up. It's been a week since, we went live last Sunday. It's been a hot second. I thought I would be able to go live during the week, but it's only now that we're going live again. So, missed you, and here we are. Here we are. I just posted that we have gone live onto the channel's community tab, so hopefully people see it and join us. And I'm also going to type a message. Fuji, no Fuji. Yash, how are you? I just saw your message from Dark. Hi Yash, hi Nifty. How are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? Look at who's waiting for you. Look at who's waiting for you. Oh my gosh. And the sun just came out. As soon as you came out, Yash and Nifty, the sun just came out. And it's all sunny now. What is it? It's all sunny. Baji. Baji has been such a good boy. Yash, you would be proud of him. He has he got into some trouble this week, but today he has been a very good boy. And indeed he is doing extremely well. And Suji here is also giving him a ton of company. Oh, Baji, Suji, and Fuji look so cute. Thank you. Nifty said hi. Hi, Nifty. Hi, Dark, who is Yash. Hello, Dark, again. Nifty sends hearts. Oh, thank you so much. How are you guys doing? How was your week? You know, this week I got my COVID vaccine. I got my flu vaccine. I even got my Tdap vaccine on my other arm. So all these types of vaccines I got. And I got a little bit busy setting up various things, so I wasn't able to go live during the week, but I plan to go live during the week as well. But here we are on Saturday. Yay! Here's our live. Here's our Saturday live. We'll go live again tomorrow as well, Sunday as per usual. Which chapter are we on the book? So we actually finished Every Breath You Take, the murder mystery that I was reading before, written by, let me show you. So we actually made a lot of progress, and indeed we finished this book, Every Breath You Take by Mary Higgins Clark and Alistair Burke. So we actually got to the end of this and we saw who did it. We caught the killer. And it got pretty adventurous at the end, and there were some dramatic scenes that I read about. So we actually finished that. My cousin is also here. Oh God! Which cousin is this, Yash? Is this your mother's side or father's side? Which cousin? Tell us. And And welcome to the cousin. Welcome to our channel. Thank you for being here. So glad that you could come and join. And again, if you're seeing this as the video replay as well, still thank you so much for watching, and please do watch to the end. You can also let this kind of just run in the background as you're doing other things. I realize that you might be busy. So, you know, we just kind of chat, we hang out, we catch up with all our friends of the channel, and then sometimes I read a book to keep people entertained with a murder mystery or some other book. And right now we've been reading murder mysteries actually. And we show all our kitty cats. Here's Suji. Here is Baji. She's from my mother's side. Her name is Amanna. Oh, wow. Oh, that's a beautiful name. Lovely. Aman, um, Amana. Okay, let me make sure I got all the M's and N's in the correct places. Amana. Amana. Is that right? Sorry about that. Amana. Because I'm reading while kind of moving, I might have said the M or the N in the wrong spot. Amana. Welcome, Amana. Thank you for being here. Here is Baji. His name is pretty small and cute. A bit close, but not still right. Oh, Amana? Amana. Is that better? Baji is doing his window watching. Yesterday, he was crying a lot while I was eating. I'll have the video posted from that later on. I actually caught this on camera where basically I was eating my food and he was crying and crying to be on my lap as I'm eating. So it was quite cute actually, but he was being very needy and clingy. So I have that on video, and I was in my pajamas already, so I wasn't even trying to make a video, but I thought that it was a cute and special moment. Amana, try it like that. Amana. 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 How about that? Sorry, I'm acting like one of those people who's say my name wrong. It's probably pretty annoying. Sorry about that. I keep on trying your name. If I'm saying it wrong, apologies, and I will keep practicing it off camera so that you don't have to hear me. Right? That's how you say it. Amana. Oh, nice. Oh, good. Well, it's a beautiful name, and so is Yash. Yashveen, Amana. Wow. Amazing names and amazing VIP guests have joined us. So thank you so much for joining. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we've had a pretty happening week actually. We got plenty of rest because I was a little bit down with some aches and pains, and I had those vaccines, and so my arm is actually still very sore. This left arm is very sore still. And I actually had a bit of a soreness from going to the gym as well. And this is Suji. Hi, Suji, mama. Hi, Suji, my Royal Bengal tiger. Hi, and that is Fuji. So Suji is over here sunbathing. My cousin is asking your name. My name is Oindri. It's a rather difficult name. Most people find it a bit difficult. I'm from India, but this name is not very common even there. So it's not a very common name. It's spelled as Oindree. So with all these, the live is lagging a bit. Oh, sorry about that. So, different people's internet speeds might be different. So if you're catching it a little bit lagged, then sorry about that. I think we'll still be able to make do with that. I don't see the video on my end to be too laggy. Let me check my computer to make sure that it's not lagging there. And also, I can actually go to my TV and make sure that it's able to play over there. Could you say it again? Oindri, that's my name, Oindree. And we can keep chatting. I just want to make sure that the live is playing on the TV correctly. But yeah, I'm so excited, Yash, that you're here. I know that sometimes we miss you because it gets too late in Pakistan, but I'm so very glad that you are able to make it to our live. Here is Suji Mama. Yes, so I see it on the TV now. I think it's as good as can be at the moment with the live. I wish, today I was kind of struggling with this live's settings. I was trying to get it to basically, I was trying to upload the usual thumbnail that I upload so that people can tell that, we have gone live. But it didn't let me. So sometimes YouTube settings can also be a little bit difficult, or they don't really work as you would expect. So here we are, given all the things, and I think we're good. So yeah, how is everything else? How is everything going with everybody's weeks? And are you having fun? How is school? How's the weather? It's autumn, basically. We're in autumn now. It's September 28th, so we've had the autumnal equinox, and I'm just happy to see that the sun is up today. Look at that. There's blue sky and sun, and we're enjoying that, and that is really nice because we've had a few cloudy days. Of course, there's been the hurricane further south, on the coast. I'm on the same coast, but thankfully in Boston, we just got some rain and it's been a few cloudy days. So I'm actually quite excited to see the sun today. Amana says, hello, you have a cute name. Oh, thank you. Amana. I like the H at the end. It gives you something to anchor to. It's a very lovely name you have there. My cousin said that your name is cute. Oh, thank you. My name starts with too many vowels, so it's difficult for people. A lot of people think it's French because it has so many vowels. It has more vowels than consonants, actually. Oindree. So the consonants are all in the middle, whereas if your name starts with a consonant, it helps people to pronounce it. Because of all these vowels that are in the beginning and the end, people can often mispronounce it and make it overly difficult when it's actually quite phonetic. Savor blocks in Turkey. Hi, Star. Thank you for joining. I don't know what the save Roblox in Turkey. Hi, Star from Turkey. Thank you for joining the live. Happy to have you here. We're hanging out with kitty cats on a relaxing Saturday afternoon. Really appreciate that everyone is joining. Please do say hi in the chat and dominate the chat, as I like to say. And I will be reading a book today. So I wanted to say we have finished this book. If you missed our live where we finished this book, which was last weekend, later on after this live, don't go now, but after this live, you can go ahead and go to the live tab on the channel and pick any live video that posted afterwards, and you can always catch up on the book. Every chapter I've now read, and it's in there, along with all our chats and hangouts here. So you can always go back and get posted on what happened in that book and get up to date on that book. Today we are going to actually read from a classic murder mystery later on, not just this minute. Today we're going to read from this book, Sad Cypress, Hercule Poirot mystery by Agatha Christie. Agatha Christie is, of course, an extremely popular author. She is the queen of murder mysteries. She is my favorite author, and she is I think she is the most published author after the Bible and Shakespeare. So she has been widely published and distributed in various languages, and she has written a lot of murder mystery novels, as well as short stories, as well as a play. In fact, the longest running play in the history of time. Let me read this comment. Are you okay, Star? She means save Roblox in Turkey because it got banned in Turkey. Only Roblox is banned in Turkey. Thank you for being a game place and supporting it. The cat is very cute. Star, you also play Roblox or not anymore? Great. So people are catching up in the chat. Yes, please do make friends in the chat. Sometimes we all kind of hang out. I'm reading a book, and sometimes people will talk to each other in the chat and get to know each other, which is also totally fine. And if I'm in the middle of reading from the book, some people like to listen to the book I'm reading, and they find it soothing or relaxing or interesting to hear what the story is. And then some people like to chat in the live chat and get to know each other, which is also totally fine. And I catch up on all your chats and comments in between my readings, so don't you worry about that. I'm just happy you're here and happy that you are joining. Hi, Victor. Hi, Victor Gonzalez Cortez. How are you? Thank you for the emojis. Love it. There's Oh, I know Agatha Christie. Is that how you spell it or not? Yes, Agatha Christie. So here's Agatha Christie. So I've got this book from the library. I can get more too. I actually used to own quite a large Agatha Christie collection from one of her limited edition collections. I was the third biggest owner of that collection at one point because it was limited edition, as in like that particular edition was not published anymore. But then I moved a lot, and I actually had to downsize on that collection. And this book I actually got from the library because I love her books. So Agatha Christie is really someone I have been reading for a very long time, and I've read actually all of her books and novels and stories to the point where now, while if I'm reading one of her books, I start reading and then I realize I've already read it. But it's still really good for me. I still really love everything she writes or wrote because she's a late author. And, movies are made from her novels. So, I think she's a really big deal. And so I was going to have some fun reading from one of her books during these lives because we just finished up this other book. We read this book for a few lives, and we finished it up actually last Sunday. And it got pretty exciting at the end, and we saw how it ended. You can always catch up on it later on under the live tab in the channel if you go and find it. But yeah, so since we're on this theme of murder mysteries, I thought we should, honor the queen of murder mysteries and the biggest murder mystery author, which is Agatha Christie. And she has a few detectives and a few, people or characters who investigate murders. One of them is Hercule Poirot, a very famous character here, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun with it. If you want to hear and listen to the book being read, during these lives, we will actually do that. So let me read this comment. I play Roblox, and I'm so sad. Open it now. I'm sorry, Star. It seems like something important to you. A game is banned in Turkey, and I'm so sorry about that. I am myself not familiar with this game, but I'm glad you found somebody in the live chat who is and who can sympathize, and maybe you can even figure something out. I'm also a big fan of her books, but I never got to read any of her books because I live in Pakistan and I checked places which had books, but I didn't find any one of her books. Oh no. Well, I'm going to read one of her books right here in the live so you can audibly read it as well. You can audibly, well, listen to it, and I can read it for you, and you can listen to it during the lives. So I have you covered. No worries. Here it is. It's coming. And you know, Agatha Christie books are a classic. So I figured even if I've read the book, it's such a classic, and her words are so delicious. It's nice to be able to read it. So I figured I will read that during this live. Thank you for the smiley, Yash. And here is Suji, Mama, and Fuji. I almost called him Baji. Hi, Fuji. Hi, Fuji. Oh, Fuji. Oh, Fuji. Okay, Fuji. It's okay. I won't disturb you. Fuji is busy. He cannot be disturbed. He cannot be disturbed. Oh, Suji. Are you enjoying the sun, son? Are you enjoying? Look at her papa. Look at her papa. Are you enjoying? Are you enjoying the sun, son? Good girl. Did you know I've come first in my school exam? No, I didn't know that. Oh my gosh. Congratulations. Baji, say congrats. Baji, say congrats to Yash. She has come first. Baji has come last in his school exams because he's not a very studious child. But Yash, I am so glad you have come first in your school exams. That is amazing. Wow. What an accomplishment. So ambitious, Yash. Wow. Goodness. Baji has come first in being cute and sleeping. Isn't that right, Baji? Isn't that right? Isn't that right? Baji would like to hide his face with his arm. Oh, Baji. Oh, Baji. Hi. Hello. 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 Baji. I think as soon as the sun is out, these kiddos love to sunbathe and get relaxed and just chill and be happy, which is lovely. I love it. Ah, Suji. Oh. So actually, I will be, I will catch up with anybody that's joining. I will get my coffee. I just had some water, and I'll get my voice ready for the book reading for you guys. So that's what we'll do. I'm still sad that I wasn't able to change the thumbnail on this live, which I can do it later, but I hope that our friends are able to understand that we are live and that more people can join. If you don't mind liking the live and sharing it with any friends you would like to share it with, that would be very helpful. I'm actually wanting our other friends to come to know that we have gone live. This is why. So let me write congrats to Yash and type a chat in the chat. To have everyone in the live chat and catch up, and I am going to start reading an Agatha Christie book in just a sec and catch up on all comments and chats in the live in between readings. I'll pin that. Lovely to have everyone in the live. Please chat and catch up, and I'm going to start reading an Agatha Christie book in just a sec and catch up on all comments and chats in the live in between. Yay! So that's what we're gonna do. And tell us, how is everyone doing? Also gonna do a poll. There, I started a funny poll. I asked, how old are you? 10 or under? More than 10. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see what people say. Yash, is your cousin the same age as you? All right. Oh. I'm getting distracted by my own kitty cat. She looks so cute. I already made my coffee. It's in the microwave, so I'm getting it out at this time. Wow, the brilliant sunshine is really making them sleepy. All right, I think everyone got quiet, so we will actually start reading from the book. And feel free to catch up and chat with each other in the live, and I will catch up with you and read all your comments and chats in between the readings. Ian, how are you? Okay, so according to the poll, it's 50-50. How old are you? Question. 10 or under, 50%. More than 10, 50%. Goodness. Well, keep voting. Ian, did you vote? Wilson Michael, hello. How are you doing? Good to be with you here again. Good to see you, Wilson Michael. How have you been? How was your week? Tell us. Ian says, I'm 8. I know, Ian. Did you vote? I want to see you vote. Can you vote? Wilson Michael says, same here. I'm so glad you're here. So Wilson Michael was here when we finished this previous book. Every Breath You Take. We're done. We're done with that one. Oh, you did? Oh, good. Thank you, Ian. We're about to read Sad Cypress by Agatha Christie, Wilson Michael. Wilson Michael says, I'm in Goa with a group of people. Oh. So please ask your whole group to join us in the live and join the chat, and they can all listen to my book reading if they would like. I'm very excited for you. We're camping by the beach. Oh my gosh. Well, you're just living the life, aren't you? We're also camping by the sun in South Goa. Wow. Wilson, what month were you born in? Yes, Wilson Michael, tell us. Tell us your birthday. You don't have to give us every detail if you don't want, but you can tell us the month if you'd like. I have picked up my tent facing the sea. Wilson, we are a little bit envious of your sea-facing tent, I must say. I might go to the ocean myself today. Now you've inspired me. I'm actually within a doable driving distance of the ocean. Should I go to the ocean after the live, Wilson? Tell me. We're by the Atlantic Ocean here. And even though I'm not a big fan of driving, when it comes to the ocean, if it means that after I've driven, the ocean will be facing me, I often elect to do that. Oh, you know what? I don't think I should drive to the ocean because my brake pads need replacing. Sorry, I have pitched up my tent facing the sea. Oh, no worries, no worries. Got it. So your tent is facing the sea, as it should. You deserve the sea, Wilson. That's good. No worries about the typing errors. We're all friends here. No judgment. We get it. You're having a fun life. Who cares about typing? But now, see, Wilson Michael, whenever he joins the live, he or she, I think it's a he, whenever he joins the live, he reminds me of something good. Last weekend, he reminded me of a very delicious food item and a favorite of mine, mishti doi. This weekend, he has reminded me of the ocean itself. So of everything in life. Lovely sea breeze. Oh, very nice. Very nice. So now I'm thinking, I've been influenced to think that I should also go to the ocean today. It will involve driving, which I'm not sure that I want to do today, especially because my car requires some repairs that I have not yet done because I'm trying to space out all my expenses. But I'm tempted. Anyways, thank you so much for joining, Wilson and Yash and Ian and everybody. If you're ready, I'll start reading from my book a little bit here from Agatha Christie's book, actually, a little bit here. And I'd love to see your messages and comments and chats. Keep on typing them, and I'll catch up with you in between my readings. So don't worry about that. I'm not ignoring you. I will absolutely read your comments and chats in between. Guess what? I'm here with some lovely people from Kolkata. Really? Who are these lovely people? Tell us. How many? What are their names? What do they do? What games are you playing at the camping? What are you talking about? And are you going to listen to me reading this book and get into this murder mystery or what? It was so tasty. Oh, one of them made lovely macher jhol today. It was so tasty. So, oh goodness, did you catch the fish in Goa or did you buy it? Don't tell me that you also know how to catch fish and then cook it and eat it right by the ocean. One of them made lovely macher jhol. Let me read that again. Well, that's amazing, Wilson Michael. So happy you're enjoying. All right, so let me get started with Sad Cypress, and hopefully you enjoy my reading along with the macher jhol and the beach and the ocean. And as I'm reading, keep on chatting, keep on typing, and I will catch up with your messages in between the readings, okay? And let me know if you can hear me all right. So I'll start with the prologue. Oh, Fuji. Fuji's ready for my reading. Here is the prologue. Eleanor Catherine Carlyle, you stand charged upon this indictment with the murder of Mary Gerard upon the 27th of July last. Are you guilty or not guilty? Eleanor Carlyle stood very straight, her head raised. It was a graceful head, the modeling of the bones sharp and well-defined. The eyes were a deep, vivid blue, the hair black. The brows had been plucked to a faint, thin line. There was a silence, quite a noticeable silence. Sir Edwin Bulmer, counsel for the defense, felt a thrill of dismay. He thought, my God, she's going to plead guilty. She's lost her nerve. Eleanor Carlyle's lips parted. She said, not guilty. Counsel for the defense sank back. He passed a handkerchief over his brow, realizing that it had been a near shave. Sir Samuel Attenbury was on his feet, outlining the case for the Crown. May it please your lordship, gentlemen of the jury, on the 27th of July at 3:30 in the afternoon, Mary Gerard died at Hunterbury, Maidensford. His voice ran on, sonorous and pleasing to the ear. It lulled Eleanor almost into unconsciousness. From the simple and concise narrative, only an occasional phrase seeped through to her conscious mind. Case a peculiarly simple and straightforward one. It is the duty of the Crown prove motive and opportunity. No one, as far as can be seen, had any motive to kill this unfortunate girl, Mary Gerard, except the accused, a young girl of a charming disposition, liked by everybody, without, one would have said, an enemy in the world. Mary Gerard. How far away it all seemed now. Not really any longer. Your attention will be particularly directed to the following considerations. What opportunities and means had the accused for administering poison? What motive had she for so doing? It will be my duty to call before you witnesses who can help you to form a true conclusion on these matters. As regards the poisoning of Mary Gerard, I shall endeavor to show you that no one had any opportunity to commit this crime except the accused. Eleanor felt as though imprisoned in a thick mist. Detached words came drifting through the fog. Sandwiches, fish paste, empty house. The word stabbed through the thick, enveloping blanket of Eleanor's thoughts. Pinpricks through a heavy, muffling veil. The court. Faces, rows and rows of faces. One particular face with a big black mustache and shrewd eyes. Hercule Poirot, his head a little on one side, his eyes thoughtful, was watching her. She thought, he's trying to see exactly why I did it. He's trying to get inside my head to see what I thought, what I felt. Felt a little blur, a slight sense of shock. Roddy's face, his dear, dear face with its long nose, its sensitive mouth. Roddy, always, ever since she could remember, since those days at Hunterbury, amongst the raspberries and up in the warren and down by the brook. Roddy, Roddy, Roddy. Other faces. Nurse O'Brien, her mouth slightly open, her freckled, fresh face thrust forward. Nurse Hopkins, looking smug and implacable. Peter Lord's face. Peter Lord, so kind, so sensible, so comforting. But looking now, what was it? Lost? Yes, lost. Minding all this frightfully. While she herself, the star performer, didn't mind at all. Here she was, quite calm and cold, standing in the dock, accused of murder. She was in court. Something stirred. The folds of blanket around her brain lightened, became mere wraiths in court. People leaning forward, their lips parted a little, their eyes agog, staring at her, Eleanor, with a horrible, ghoulish enjoyment, listening with a kind of slow, cruel relish to what that tall man with the Jewish nose was saying about her. The facts in this case are extremely easy to follow and are not in dispute. I shall put them before you quite simply. From the very beginning, Eleanor thought. The beginning. The beginning? The day that horrible, anonymous letter came. That was the beginning of it. All right, that was the prologue. We'll actually start with the book now, part 1. So Eleanor is in court thinking all this, and all this stuff is happening with her. And now the book actually begins with part 1. Okay? Part 1. All right, let me read this comment. I have brought my fishing rod and everything. We will go fishing to a nearby backwater place tomorrow. Just can't wait. Wilson Michael, you're having quite a fun time. So glad you're enjoying. Thank you so much for joining. Please do keep chatting and commenting and sending your messages and typing in the live chat. I will certainly read your comments and chats in between my readings. Also enjoy the book, Sad Cypress by Agatha Christie, that I'm reading for you right here, right now. An anonymous letter. Eleanor Carlyle stood looking down at it as it lay open in her hand. She'd never had such a thing before. It gave one an unpleasant sensation, ill-written, badly spelt, on cheap pink paper. This is to warn you, it ran. I'm naming no names, but there's someone sucking up to your aunt, and if you're not careful, you'll get cut out of everything. Girls are very artful, and old ladies is soft when young ones suck up to them and flatter them. What I say is you'd better come down and see for yourself what's going on. It's not right you and the young gentleman should be done out of what's yours, and she's very artful, and the old lady might pop off at any time. Well-wisher. Eleanor was still staring at this missive, her plucked brows drawn together in distaste, when the door opened. The maid announced, "Mr. Wellman," and Roddy came in. Roddy. As always, when she saw Roddy, Eleanor was conscious of a slightly giddy feeling, a throb of sudden pleasure, a feeling that it was incumbent upon her to be very matter-of-fact and unemotional. Because it was so very obvious that Roddy, although he loved her, didn't feel about her the way she felt about him. The first sight of him did something to her, twisted her heart around so that it almost hurt. Absurd that a man, an ordinary, yes, a perfectly ordinary young man, should be able to do that to one. That the mere look of him should set the world spinning. That his voice should make you want, just a little, to cry. Love surely should be a pleasurable emotion, not something that hurt you by its intensity. One thing was clear: one must be very careful to be offhand and casual about it all. Men didn't like devotion and adoration. Certainly Roddy didn't. She said lightly, "Hello, Roddy." Roddy said, "Hello, darling. You're looking very tragic. Is it a bill?" Eleanor shook her head. Roddy said, "I thought it might be. Midsummer, you know, when the fairies dance and the accounts rendered come tripping along." Eleanor said, "It's rather horrid. It's an anonymous letter." Roddy's brows went up. His keen, fastidious face stiffened and changed. He said, a sharp, disgusted exclamation. "No." Eleanor said again, "It's rather horrid." She moved a step towards her desk. "I'd better tear it up, I suppose." She could have done that. She almost did, for Roddy and anonymous letters were two things that ought not to come together. She might have thrown it away and thought no more about it. He would not have stopped her. His fastidiousness was far more strongly developed than his curiosity. But on impulse, Eleanor decided differently. She said, "Perhaps, though, you'd better read it first, then we'll burn it. It's about Aunt Laura." Roddy's eyebrows rose in surprise. Aunt Laura? He took the letter, read it, gave a frown of distaste, and handed it back. "Yes," he said, "definitely to be burnt. How extraordinary people are." Eleanor said, "One of the servants, do you think?" "I suppose so." He hesitated. "I wonder who the person is, the one they mention." Eleanor said thoughtfully, "It must be Mary Gerard, I think." Roddy frowned in an effort of remembrance. "Mary Gerard? Who's she? The daughter of the people at the lodge? You must remember her as a child." Aunt Laura was always fond of the girl and took an interest in her. She paid for her schooling and for various extras, piano lessons and French and things. Roddy said, "Oh, yes, I remember her now. Scrawny kid, all legs and arms with a lot of messy fair hair." Eleanor nodded. "Yes, you probably haven't seen her since those summer holidays when Mum and Dad were abroad. You've not been down at Hunterbury as often as I have, of course, since she's been abroad au pair in Germany lately, but we used to rout her out and play with her when we were all kids." "What's she like now?" asked Roddy. Eleanor said, "She's turned out very nice looking, good manners and all that, as a result of her education. You'd never take her for old Gerard's daughter." "Gone all ladylike, has she?" "Yes, I think as a result of that, she doesn't get on very well at the lodge. Mrs. Gerard died some years ago, you know, and Mary and her father don't get on. He jeers at her schooling and her fine ways." Roddy said irritably, "People never dream what harm they may do by educating someone. Often it's cruelty, not kindness." Eleanor said, "I suppose she is up at the house a good deal. She reads out loud to Aunt Laura, I know, since she had her stroke." Roddy said, "Why can't the nurse read to her?" Eleanor said with a smile, "Nurse O'Brien's got a brogue you can cut with a knife. I don't wonder Aunt Laura prefers Mary." Roddy walked rapidly and nervously up and down the room for a minute or two. Then he said, "You know, Eleanor, I believe we ought to go down." Eleanor said with a slight recoil, "Because of this?" No, not at all. Oh, damn it all. One must be honest. Yes, foul as that communication is, there may be some truth behind it. I mean, the old girl is pretty ill." "Yes, Roddy." He looked at her with his charming smile, admitting the fallibility of human nature. He said, "And the money does matter. To you and me, Eleanor. She admitted it quickly. Oh, it does, he said seriously. It's not that I'm mercenary. But after all, Aunt Laura herself has said over and over again that you and I are her only family ties. You're her own niece, her brother's child, and I'm her husband's nephew. She's always given us to understand that at her death, all she's got would come to one or other, or more probably both, of us. And it's a pretty large sum, Eleanor. Yes, said Eleanor thoughtfully. It must be. It's no joke keeping up Hunterbury. He paused. Uncle Henry was what you'd call, I suppose, comfortably off when he met your Aunt Laura, but she was an heiress. She and your father were both left pretty wealthy. Pity your father speculated and lost most of his. Eleanor sighed. Poor father. Never had much business sense. He got very worried over things before he died. Yes, your Aunt Laura had a much better head than he had. She married Uncle Henry, and they bought Hunterbury, and she told me the other day that she'd been exceedingly lucky always in her investments. Practically nothing had slumped. Uncle Henry left all he had to her when he died, didn't he? Roddy nodded. Yes, tragic his dying so soon, and she's never married again. Faithful old bean. And she's always been very good to us. She's treated me as if I was her nephew by blood. If I've been in a hole, she's helped me out. Luckily, I haven't done that. Too often. She's been awfully generous to me too, said Eleanor gratefully. Roddy nodded. Aunt Laura, he said, is a brick. But you know, Eleanor, perhaps without meaning to do so, you and I live pretty extravagantly. Considering what our means really are, she said ruefully. I suppose we do. Everything costs so much. Clothes and one's face. And just silly things like cinemas and cocktails and even gramophone records. Roddy said, Darling, you are one of the lilies of the field, aren't you? You toil not, neither do you spin. Eleanor said, Do you think I ought to, Roddy? He shook his head. I like you as you are, delicate and aloof and ironical. I'd hate you to go all earnest. I'm only saying that if it weren't for Aunt Laura, you probably would be working at some grim job. He went on. The same with me. I've got a job of sorts. Being with Lewis and whom is not too arduous. It suits me. I preserve my self-respect by having a job, but mark this, I don't worry about the future because of my expectations from Aunt Laura. Eleanor said, We sound rather like human leeches. Nonsense. We've been given to understand that someday we shall have money. That's all. Naturally, that fact influences our conduct. Eleanor said thoughtfully, Aunt Laura has never told us definitely just how she has left her money. Roddy said, That doesn't matter. In all probability, she's divided it between us. But if that isn't so, if she's left all of it or most of it to you as her own flesh and blood, why then, darling, I shall share in it, because I'm going to marry you. And if the old pet thinks the majority should go to me, as the male representative of the Wellmans, that's still all right, because you're marrying me. He grinned at her affectionately. He said, Lucky we happen to love each other. You do love me, don't you, Eleanor? Yes, she said it coldly, almost primly. Yes, Roddy mimicked her. You're adorable, Eleanor. That little air of yours, aloof, untouchable, la Princess Lontaine, it's that quality of yours that made me love you, I believe. Whoops. Sorry. Eleanor caught her breath. She said, Is it? Yes, he frowned. Some women are so, oh, I don't know, so damned possessive. So dog-like and devoted, their emotions slopping all over the place. I'd hate that. With you, I never know. I'm never sure. Any minute you might turn around in that cool, detached way of yours and say you'd change your mind. Quite coolly, like that, without batting an eyelash. You're a fascinating creature, Eleanor. You're like a work of art. So finished, he went on. You know, I think ours will be the perfect marriage. We both love each other enough and not too much. We're good friends. We've got a lot of tastes in common. We know each other through and through. We've all the advantages of cousinship without the disadvantages of blood relationship. I shall never get tired of you because you're such an elusive creature. You may get tired of me, though. I'm such an ordinary sort of chap. Eleanor shook her head. She said, I shan't get tired of you, Roddy. Never. My sweet. He kissed her. He said, Aunt Laura has a pretty shrewd idea of how it is with us, I think. Although we've been down since we finally fixed it up. We haven't been down since we finally fixed it up. It rather gives us an excuse, doesn't it, for going down? Yes, I was thinking the other day. Roddy finished the sentence for her, that we hadn't been down as often as we might. I thought that too. When she first had her stroke, we went down almost every other weekend, and now it must be almost 2 months since we were there. Eleanor said, we'd have gone if she'd asked for us at once. Yes, of course, and we know that she likes Nurse O'Brien and is well looked after. All the same, perhaps we have been a bit slack. I'm talking now, not from the money point of view, but the sheer human one. Eleanor nodded. I know. So that filthy letter has done some good after all. We'll go down to protect our interests, and because we are fond of the old dear. He lit a match and set fire to the letter, which he took from Eleanor's hand. Wonder who wrote it, he said. Not that it matters. Someone who was on our side, as we used to say when we were kids. Perhaps they've done us a good turn too. Jim Partington's mother went out to the Riviera to live, had a handsome young Italian doctor to attend her, became quite crazy about him, and left him every penny she had. Jim and his sisters tried to upset the will, but couldn't. Eleanor said, Aunt Laura likes the new doctor, who's taken over Dr. Ransom's practice. But not to that extent. Anyway, that horrid letter mentioned a girl. It must be Mary, Roddy said. We'll go down and see for ourselves. So that was the first part of this chapter. We'll take a quick break and I'll read your messages. All right, let's read. Wilson Michael says, I am with a small group of ladies here. 5 beautiful Bengali aunties and 10 beautiful Bengali chicks. Aha! You have some chicks with you, like chickens? Just kidding. I know you mean ladies. They're all having a great time here in Goa. We went kayaking in the evening. Ooh, kayaking. And went for a long walk on the beach and collected a lot of shells. It was great fun. It's their first time in Goa. Oh my gosh, Wilson Michael. So do you do like group tours? Is that what this is? Is this like a ladies meet or a girls going away or a girls trip? Are these aunties and ladies all related to each other? Are they friends? Are they strangers? Is this like a group tour of sorts? Sometimes I join guided group tours here in the US and also in Europe. So tell me, where do I sign up for such a tour, Wilson Michael? Is this on Get Your Guides tour app? Because I will do it next time I come to India. Because, you know, sometimes what I've found is if you try to coordinate with a friend, say like you don't want, like usually I just do solo trips. I like just doing things by myself. Because if I want to coordinate with a bunch of family or friends, it never happens, and I'd rather make it happen. So I go for solo trips, and I use like Get Your Guides tour. Like, say if I want a guided tour, I just get on the app and book a tour for myself, and I'm usually there with a bunch of strangers, and generally will even make friends. So that's why I wanted to ask. They're all from one small software firm. Ah, so they're colleagues. What a colleague's trip. My work never took me to Goa. Goodness. I am just besides myself with sadness that you didn't invite me. Could have thought of me as a colleague. I'm your colleague too, Auntie. And sisters, the 10 ladies and 5 aunties, how could you leave me out of this? How? I've never even been to Goa. Oh my gosh, you can come anytime. Thank you, Wilson Michael. You should give me you should connect with me on something, I don't know, Instagram, Facebook, somewhere, and you should give me your tours link or something, like, so where I can sign up. I'm serious, because in the US, I'm more familiar at this point with the US and Europe because I was a child in India. I moved after high school, so I know I've basically had more well, all my adult life has been in the US. So I know more about, here. And I go on these trips by myself, and I go on these tours, and I know how to book those tours and trips, especially in the US and Europe. But I actually know much less about my home country, India. And I'd love to join on these tours with you guys. So, oh, I know I'll love it. I know I'll love it. Oh my gosh. Of course. You will love it. There's so much to see into here. I know. So I need to do this. The problem with India, can I tell you though, is whenever I go, all my freaking relatives and friends and everyone just expects me to go visit them. And then I have to make appointments with them because they tell me to come see them, but then they actually don't have any time for me. So then I have to do the rounds of all these different cities. Like the Delhi people will say, come to Delhi. The Bangalore people will say, come to Bangalore. The Kolkata people will be very mad if I don't stop by Kolkata. I mean, how many plane tickets am I supposed to get, And it's expensive enough to come to India in the first place from the US. Sorry, I'm rambling on. But what I need to do is go in secrecy and go on one of these tours and just tell nobody about it. Because then I'll probably accomplish the tour and the journey. Actually, there is a cousin of mine who promised that she'll take me to the Himalayas. I don't know if she'll keep her promise, though. You know what I mean? I'm not so sure. People will say these things to you on Instagram chat, but do they mean it? I mean it. I actually want to go on the tour. It's almost like most of these ladies are staying in tents for the very first time. There's so much to see and do here. Most of these ladies are staying in tents for the very first time. They're like in a different world here. Are you? Oh, I'm really enjoying my time with them here. Oh, that's so nice, Wilson. So on the how old are you poll, I see 33% are 10 or under and 67% are more than 10. Goodness. What a mature audience. I'm really enjoying my time here with them. So Wilson Michael, so they're in tents for the first time. So how are they using the bathroom? Tell me. Are they going in the sea? Or is there like a porta potty somewhere? When you said ladies, the first thing that came to my mind is bathroom. Ladies like the bathroom, as in a bathroom, not the bushes. Although we can peruse a bush as needed, but we infinitely prefer a bathroom. I'm really enjoying my time with them here. Good for you, Wilson Michael. I'm sorry for rambling about the tours, guys. I'll get back to the reading in just a second. Give me 1 second, okay? We've taken some rooms in a resort here. Oh! So you've taken some rooms in the resort and you're also on the beach. Is it like a resort with a private beach where you can tent? Where you can camp? Is this like a resort with a private beach and camping and tents? So sometimes you can sleep in the room and sometimes in the tent. Is this how it is? Tell me the name of the resort right now, Wilson Michael. Type the name of the resort. Is this resort come with a private beach? So like you can just go down to the beach whenever? Type in the chat. Oh my God, I'm going to do this. I'm going to totally do it. And my friends are going to be so mad at me because they told me, I have friends in Bangalore who said that they would take me to Goa, but I don't believe them for 1 second. These people with jobs never have time off. So they're in a resort. They can use the bathroom in the resort in their rooms. And they can also tent out. And they can listen to the ocean waves while falling asleep. Oh my gosh, I would only go to the room to pee. I would only go back to that room to use the bathroom. Oh my God. I would not be sleeping in the room. I would be sleeping where I can hear the ocean. Goodness. Oh gosh, it's so beautiful here. Aww. Wait, is it nighttime now? Let me ask Google. Hey Google, what time is it in India right now?
The time in India is 12:59 a.m. on Sunday.
Ah, it's 1 in the morning. Okay. Ah, not too late for you, Wilson. 1 in the morning, so you can listen to the ocean waves. It's dark, and the waves are coming and going, and it's resetting everybody's brain waves. It's the most peaceful, soothing, relaxing thing ever. I know that. Amazing. Keep telling us about this trip, Wilson Michael. I'll keep reading. Nurse O'Brien rustled out of Mrs. Wellman's bedroom and into the bathroom. She said over her shoulder, I'll just pop the kettle on. You could do with a cup of tea before you go on, I'm sure, Nurse. Nurse Hopkins said comfortably, Well, dear, I can always do with a cup of tea. I always say there's nothing like a nice cup of tea, a strong cup. Nurse O'Brien said as she filled the kettle and lit the gas ring. I've got everything here in this cupboard, teapot and cups and sugar, and Edna brings me up fresh milk twice a day. No need to be forever ringing bells. 'Tis a fine gas ring. This boils a kettle in a flash. Nurse O'Brien was a tall, red-haired woman of 30, with flashing white teeth, a freckled face, and an engaging smile. Her cheerfulness and vitality made her a favorite with her patients. Nurse Hopkins, the district nurse, who came every morning to assist with the bedmaking and toilet of the heavy old lady, was a homely-looking middle-aged woman with a capable air and a brisk manner. She said now, approvingly, Everything's very well done in this house. The other nodded. Yes. Old-fashioned, some of it. No central heating, but plenty of fires, and all the maids are very obliging girls, and Mrs. Bishop looks after them well. Nurse Hopkins said, These girls nowadays, I have no patience with them. Don't know what they want, most of them, and can't do a decent day's work. Mary Gerard's a nice girl, said Nurse O'Brien. I really don't know what Mrs. Wellman would do without her. You saw how she's asked for her now? Ah, well, she's a lovely creature, I will say, and she's got a way with her. Nurse Hopkins said, I'm sorry for Mary. That old father of hers does his best to spite the girl. Not a civil word in his head, the old curmudgeon, said Nurse O'Brien. There, the kettle's singing. I'll wet the tea as soon as it comes to the boil. The tea was made and poured hot and strong. The two nurses sat with it in Nurse O'Brien's room next door to Mrs. Wellman's bedroom. Mr. Wellman and Miss Carlyle are coming down, said Nurse O'Brien. There was a telegram came this morning. There now, dear, said Nurse Hopkins. I thought the old lady was looking excited about something. It's some time since they've been down, isn't it? It must be 2 months and over. Such a nice young gentleman, Mr. Wellman, but very proud looking. Nurse Hopkins said, I saw her picture in the Tatler the other day with a friend at Newmarket. Nurse O'Brien said, she's very well known in society, isn't she? And always has such lovely clothes. Do you think she's really good looking, Nurse? Nurse Hopkins said, difficult to tell what these girls really look like under their makeup. In my opinion, she hasn't got anything like the looks Mary Gerard has. Nurse O'Brien pursed her lips and put her head on one side. You may be right now, but Mary hasn't got the style. Nurse Hopkins said sententiously, fine feathers make fine birds. Another cup of tea, Nurse? Thank you, Nurse. I don't mind if I do. Over their steaming cups, the women drew a little closer together. Nurse O'Brien said, an odd thing happened last night. I went in at 2 o'clock to settle my dear comfortably, as I always do, and she was lying there awake, but she must have been dreaming, for as soon as I got into the room, she said, the photograph. I must have the photograph. So I said, why, of course, Mrs. Wellman. But wouldn't you rather wait till morning? And she said, no, I want to look at it now. So I said, well, where is this photograph? Is it the one of Mr. Roderick you're meaning? And she said, Roderick? No, Lewis. And she began to struggle. And I went to lift her, and she got out her keys from the little box beside her bed and told me to unlock the second drawer of the tall boy. And there, sure enough, was a big photograph in a silver frame. Such a handsome man, and Lewis written across the corner. Old-fashioned, of course, must have been taken many years ago. I took it to her, and she held it there, staring at it a long time, and she just murmured, Lewis, Lewis. Then she sighed and gave it to me and told me to put it back. And would you believe it, when I turned round again, she'd gone off as sweetly as a child. Nurse Hopkins said, was it her husband, do you think? Nurse O'Brien said, it was not. For this morning I asked Mrs. Bishop, careless-like, what was the late Mr. Wellman's first name? And it was Henry, she told me. The two women exchanged glances. Nurse Hopkins had a long nose, and the end of it quivered a little with pleasurable emotion. She said thoughtfully, Lewis, Lewis, I wonder now. I can't recall the name anywhere around these parts. It would be many years ago, dear, the other reminded her. Yes, and of course I've only been here a couple of years. I wonder now. Nurse O'Brien said, a very handsome man, looked as though he might be cavalry officer. Nurse Hopkins sipped her tea. She said, that's very interesting. Nurse O'Brien said romantically, maybe they were boy and girl together, and a cruel father separated them. Nurse Hopkins said with a deep sigh, perhaps he was killed in the war. All right, so that was part 2 of this first chapter. That's exactly what we are all doing here, using the rooms in the resort only to use the loo, staying in the tents most of the time. I will never send my campers into bushes to pee and stuff, especially if they're ladies and girls. Very nice, Wilson. You're so thoughtful. You know, you should share my live with your ladies. Maybe they'll enjoy the story too. Agatha Christie by Sad Cypress. Please do share. with your ladies. Along with the ocean and the beach and Goa, maybe they'll enjoy the story. Or maybe they'll catch up with it later on. Tell them my channel. I'll be most obliged. That's funny. I will never send my campers into bushes to pee and stuff. Oh, thank you. You know, I was ready for the bushes. When you said that you went camping, I was like, okay, well, Wilson, I'm ready for the bushes. If it means ocean and the sound of the ocean. But I'm glad that there is a loo inside a building that one can also access. Part 3 of the first chapter of Sad Cypress. When Nurse Hopkins, pleasantly stimulated by tea and romantic speculation, finally left the house, Mary Gerard ran out of the door to overtake her. Oh, nurse, may I walk down to the village with you? Of course you can, Mary, my dear. Mary Gerard said breathlessly, I must talk to you. I'm so worried about everything. The older woman looked at her kindly. At 21, Mary Gerard was a lovely creature with a kind of wild rose unreality about her. A long, delicate neck, pale golden hair, lying close to her exquisitely shaped head in soft, natural waves, and eyes of a deep, vivid blue. Nurse Hopkins said, What's the trouble? The trouble is that the time is going on, and I'm not doing anything. Nurse Hopkins said dryly, Time enough for that. No, but it is so unsettling. Mrs. Wellman has been wonderfully kind, giving me all that expensive schooling. I do feel now that I ought to be starting to earn my own living. I ought to be training for something. Nurse Hopkins nodded sympathetically. It's such a waste of everything if I don't. I've tried to explain what I feel to Mrs. Wellman, but it's difficult. She doesn't seem to understand. She keeps saying, there's plenty of time. Nurse Hopkins said, She's a sick woman, remember? Mary flushed, a contrite flush. Oh, I know. I suppose I ought not to bother her, but it is worrying, and Father's so beastly about it. Keeps jibing me for being a fine lady, but indeed I don't want to sit about doing nothing. I know you don't. The trouble is that training of any kind is nearly always expensive. I know German pretty well now, and I might do something with that, but I think really I want to be a hospital nurse. I do like nursing and sick people. Nurse Hopkins said unromantically, You've got to be as strong as a horse, remember? I am strong, and I really do like nursing. Mother's sister, the one in New Zealand, was a nurse. So it's in my blood, you see? What about massage? Suggested Nurse Hopkins. Or Norland. You're fond of children. There's good money to be made in massage. Mary said doubtfully, It's expensive to train for it, isn't it? I hoped, but of course that's very greedy of me. She's done so much for me already. Mrs. Wellman, you mean nonsense. In my opinion, she owes you that. She's given you a slap-up education, but not the kind that leads to anything much. You don't want to teach? I'm not clever enough. Nurse Hopkins said, There's brains and brains. If you take my advice, Mary, you'll be patient for the present. In my opinion, as I said, Mrs. Wellman owes it to you to help you get a start at making your living. And I've no doubt she means to do it, but the truth of the matter is she's got fond of you and she doesn't want to lose you. Mary said, Oh, she drew in her breath with a little gasp. Do you really think that's it? I haven't the least doubt of it. There she is, poor old lady, more or less helpless, paralyzed one side and nothing and nobody much. To amuse her, it means a lot to her to have a fresh, pretty young thing like you about the house. You have a very nice way with you in a sick room. Mary said softly, If you really think so, that makes me feel better. Dear Mrs. Wellman, I'm very, very fond of her. She's been so good to me, always. I'd do anything for her. Nurse Hopkins said dryly. Then the best thing you can do is to stay where you are and stop worrying. It won't be for long, Mary said. Do you mean? Her eyes looked wide and frightened. The district nurse nodded. She's rallied wonderfully, but it won't be long. There will be a second stroke, and then a third. I know the way of it only too well. You be patient, my dear, if you keep the old lady's last days happy and occupied. That's a better deed than many. The time for the other will come. Mary said, You're very kind. Nurse Hopkins said, Here's your father, coming out from the lodge. And not to pass the time of day pleasantly, I should say. They were just nearing the big iron gates. On the steps of the lodge, an elderly man with a bent back was painfully hobbling down the 2 steps. Nurse Hopkins said cheerfully, Good morning, Mr. Gerard. Ephraim Gerard said crustily. Ah, very nice weather, said Nurse Hopkins. Old Gerard said crossly, Maybe for you. 'Tisn't for me. My lumbago's been at me something cruel. Nurse Hopkins said cheerfully, That was the wet spell last week, I expect. This hot, dry weather will soon clear that away. Her brisk professional manner appeared to annoy the old man. He said disagreeably, Nurses, you're all the same, full of cheerfulness over other people's troubles. Little you care, and there's Mary talks about being a nurse too. She'd have thought she'd want to be something better than that, with her French and her German and her piano playing and all the things she's learned at her grand school and her travels abroad. Mary said sharply, Being a hospital nurse would be quite good enough for me. Yes, and you'd sooner do nothing at all, wouldn't you? Strutting about with your airs and your graces and your fine lady do-nothing ways. Laziness, that's what you like, my girl. Mary protested, tears springing to her eyes. It isn't true, Dad. You've no right to say that. Nurse Hopkins intervened with a heavy, determinedly humorous air. Just a bit under the weather, aren't we, this morning? You don't really mean what you say, Gerard. Mary's a good girl and a good daughter to you. Gerard looked at his daughter with an air of almost active malevolence. She's no daughter of mine. Nowadays, with her French and her history and her mimicking and her mincing talk. Bah! He turned and went into the lodge again. Mary said, the tears still standing in her eyes, You do see, nurse, don't you, how difficult it is. He's so unreasonable. He's never liked me, even when I was a little girl. Mum was always standing up for me. Nurse Hopkins said kindly, There. Don't worry. These things are sent to try us. Goodness, I must hurry. Such a round as I've got this morning. And as she stood walking the brisk, retreating figure, Mary Gerard thought forlornly that nobody was any real good or could really help you. Nurse Hopkins, for all her kindness, was quite content to bring out a little stock of platitudes and offer them with an air of novelty. Mary thought disconsolately, What shall I do? All right, so that was the first chapter. We will start chapter 2 in just a second here. Let me read your comments. We just finished chapter 1 of Sad Cypress. Now I'm going to do chapter 2 in just a second, and let me read your comments. I will never send 3 of them with me right now, and we're all listening to your story. Oh my gosh, welcome ladies. I didn't realize, Wilson Michael, that you have 3 ladies with you in the camp, in the tent, listening to my story. What an honor. Thank you so much for being here, ladies. Let's be friends. Please do subscribe to my channel, like, share, subscribe, say hi. Let's be friends. They're really enjoying it too, and they're all saying you have a very beautiful voice. We can hear the others chatting away in their tents away from us. Oh, thank you. Thank you for saying that I have a beautiful voice. Thank you to the ladies. Thank you. No one wants to sleep early when they come out to places like this. For them, it's like a rare opportunity. So they want to chat and chat and chat. Of course. ঘুমোলে কি করে হবে? গল্প করতে হবে না? আড্ডা মারতে হবে? Of course. Two things from your story made us laugh so much. They started teasing me. Four of us staying in a five-men tent. Okay, so you have room for one more. I'm coming. Two things from your story made us laugh so much. Aww. I'm glad you're enjoying, ladies and Wilson. Thank you for enjoying the story and for being here and joining. Thank you so much. They started teasing me. Four of us. Ki bolche tease kore? How are they teasing you, Wilson Michael? Tell us the joke. Four of us staying in a five-men. What I'm hearing from you is that you have room for one more. I must join this adda ASAP. Let me put this down for just a second and have some water, okay? I'm glad you like my voice. What are you guys going to do in the morning? Are you going to go on some kind of tour in the morning as well? Are you going to be fishing? Who's going to be swimming in the ocean? Tell us. Jolly keke nabbe. Acha, ekhon ki okhane mane what's the temperature like of the water? Like, is it good? Comfortable? September? সেপ্টেম্বর মাসে কি ওখানে মানে ভালোই লাগে জলটা? কালকে কি সাঁতার হবে ওশানে? We're going dolphin spotting. Of course you are. Of course. তাহলে কি গোয়াতে ডলফিনও হয়? আচ্ছা. Very nice. And swimming in the ocean. A private beach টায় কি একটু swimming করা যায় ওশানে? Is it a rocky beach or a mostly sandy beach? Are there rocks in the water? I both love and I'm very fearful of a deep water, actually. I have a both dual relationship with the water where I love it, but I'm also very scared of deep water. Like, for example, I swim because I love the water, but I can only swim where it's shallow. Fuji Baba, Korana, Shona? Fuji Baba. The local fishermen are going to take us in a boat in the morning. Oh. Kota boat lagbe for the 10 plus 5 plus 1, 16 people, is that right? Are you guys like 16 people? Is it going to be a big boat or like a couple of smaller nokas? Tell us. Like a canoe kind of thing or a big boat, like a launch, like a cruise ship, Titanic? You know, in Boston, I did some whale watching. We have, if you ever come to Boston, by the way, you should do the whale watch tour. There is a big boat that goes out and we're able to see whales in the wild. I very much recommend it. Yes, it's one big boat. That sounds good. That makes sense because the nokas are quite adventurous. You know, I have been on a Noka in Sundarban, and it was both scary and very lots of fun. Lots and lots of fun. And who's gonna be swimming in the ocean? Who's gonna break some waves? And ladies, if you're gonna be taking pictures, I want to see them. Send me on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you are. Love to see it. আর রিসোর্টটার নামটা তো বললেন না, এই রিসোর্টটা, এই সিক্রেট রিসোর্টটা কোনটা? We will be going to Butterfly Beach, Monkey Island on the boat. Okay, আমাকে নোটস নিতে হয়, এবার তো নোটস নিতে হয় তাহলে। Let me write it down. রিডিংয়ের সাথে সাথে রাইটিংও করতে হয় না? Butterfly Beach. Okay. I'm gonna write down Goa trip, Butterfly Beach, Monkey Island. Monkey Island কি monkey আছে না নিজেরাই monkey হয়ে যায় লোকেরা ওখানে গিয়ে? We will be going on Butterfly Beach and Monkey Island on the boat. বোটিং করে oh my god, আমার না বোটে ভীষণ ভাল লাগে। মানে it's like a cruise that you'll take to Butterfly Beach and Monkey Island. I love cruises. I love cruises. Even like a day cruise. Cruise নেওয়া যায়। ওকে, আমি নোটস নিচ্ছি। আমার ফ্রেন্ডসরা যদি আমাকে না নিয়েও যায়, আমি নিজে নিজেই চলে যাব। ফ্রেন্ডসের উপর ভরসা করলে চলবে না, এইসব ট্যুর যদি করতে হয়। Absolutely. Suji Mama. It's such a beautiful boat ride. Suji Mama. সুজি ঘুম থেকে উঠে পড়েছো? তোমার ঘুমো ঘুমো পেয়েছে বাবু? ঘুমো ঘুমো পেয়েছে? সুজি কিন্তু ইন্ডিয়া টাইম, মানে ওখানে 1টা বেজে গেছে, মানে সুজিও ঘুমাচ্ছে তাই জন্যে। We've arranged for a boat ride. That's amazing. Well, the beach itself is amazing. Like just, you know, chilling on the beach and going for a swim. I've done it many times, but the ladies are going to do it for the first time. Wow. Wilson Michael, you're a good tour guide. You seem really excited about giving this tour to the ladies. And that's exactly what we appreciate. A very engaged and excited tour guide who can show us and help us explore. That's amazing. Hi, Fuji. Excuse me. All right. Well, I don't want to bore the ladies. I'll keep on reading so that the ladies can stay engaged. I'm also helping with your tour. They didn't even know that there would be a surprise story reader as part of this tour, Wilson. But I'm also part of this. So thank you so much again for joining the live. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for your chats. I'll keep reading all your messages and I'll get back to the reading because I don't want to bore people with my ramblings. I'll read the story and keep you engaged, okay? Thank you so much for being here. Chapter 2. Mrs. Wellman lay on her carefully built-up pillows. Her breathing was a little heavy, but she was not asleep. Her eyes still deep and blue like those of her niece Eleanor, looked up at the ceiling. She was a big, heavy woman with a handsome, hawk-like profile. Pride and determination showed in her face. The eyes dropped and came to rest on the figure sitting by the window. They rested there tenderly, almost wistfully. She said at last, "Mary." The girl turned quickly. "Oh, you're awake, Mrs. Wellman," Laura Wellman said. "Yes, I've been awake some time." "Oh, I didn't know. I'd have," Mrs. Wellman broke in. "No, that's all right. I was thinking of many things." "Yes, Mrs. Wellman." The sympathetic look, the interested voice, made a tender look come into the older woman's face. She said gently, "I'm very fond of you, my dear. You're very good to me." "Oh, Mrs. Wellman, it's you who have been good to me. If it hadn't been for you, I don't know what I should have done. You've done everything for me." I don't know, I'm sure." The sick woman moved restlessly. Her right arm twitched, the left remaining inert and lifeless. One means to do the best one can, but it's so difficult to know what is best, what is right. "I've been too sure of myself always," Mary Gerard said. "Oh, no, I'm sure you always know what is best and right to do." But Laura Wellman shook her head. "No, no. It worries me. I've had one besetting sin always, Mary. I'm proud. Pride can be the devil. It runs in our family. Eleanor has it too." Mary said quickly, "It will be nice for you to have Miss Eleanor and Mr. Roderick down. It will cheer you up a lot." "It's quite a time since they were here," Mrs. Wellman said softly. "They're good children, very good children, and fond of me, both of them. I always know I've only got to send, and they'll come at any time, but I don't want to do that too often. They're young and happy, the world in front of them. No need to bring them near decay and suffering before their time." Mary said, "I'm sure they'd never feel like that, Mrs. Wellman." Mrs. Wellman went on, talking perhaps more to herself than to the girl. "I always hoped they might marry, but I tried never to suggest anything of the kind. Young people are so contradictory." 1 second. "It would have put them off. I had an idea long ago when they were children that Eleanor had set her heart on Roddy, but I wasn't at all sure about him. He's a funny creature. Henry was like that, very reserved and fastidious. Yes, Henry." She was silent for a little, thinking of her dead husband. She murmured, "So long ago, so very long ago. We had only been married 5 years when he died. Double pneumonia. We were happy, yes, very happy. But somehow it all seems very unreal, that happiness. I was an odd, solemn, undeveloped girl, my head full of ideas and hero worship. No reality." Mary murmured, "You must have been very lonely afterwards." "After? Oh, yes. Terribly lonely. I was 26, and now I'm over 60. A long time, my dear. A long, long time," she said with a sudden, bisque acerbity. "And now this. Your illness?" "Yes. A stroke is the thing I've always dreaded. The indignity of it all, washed and tended like a baby, helpless to do anything for yourself. It maddens me. The O'Brien creature is good-natured. I will say that for her. She doesn't mind my snapping at her, and she's not more idiotic than most of them. But it makes a lot of difference to me to have you about, Mary." "Does it?" The girl flushed. "I'm so glad, Mrs. Wellman." Laura Wellman said shrewdly, "You've been worrying, haven't you, about the future? You leave it to me, my dear. I'll see to it that you shall have the means to be independent and take up a profession. But be patient for a little. It means too much to me to have you here." "Oh, Mrs. Wellman, of course, of course. I wouldn't leave you for the world. Not if you want me." "I do want you." The voice was unusually deep and full. You're You're quite like a daughter to me, Mary. I've seen you grow up here at Hunterbury. From a little toddling thing, seen you grow into a beautiful girl. I'm proud of you, child. I only hope I've done what was best for you. Mary said quickly, if you mean that you're having been so good to me and having educated me above my station, if you think it's made me dissatisfied or given me what father calls fine lady ideas, indeed, that isn't true. I'm just ever so grateful, that's all. And if I'm anxious to start earning my living, it's only because I feel it's right, that I should, well, do nothing after all you've done for me. I shouldn't like it to be thought that I was sponging on you, Laura Wellman said, and her voice was suddenly sharp-edged. So that's what Gerard's been putting into your head. Pay no attention to your father, Mary. There never has been and never will be any question of you sponging on me. I'm asking you to stay here a little longer, solely on my account. Soon it will be over. If they went the proper way about things, my life could be ended here and now. None of this long drawn-out tomfoolery with nurses and doctors. Oh no, Mrs. Wellman, Dr. Lord says you may live for years. I'm not at all anxious to, thank you. I told him the other day that in a decently civilized state, all there would be to do would be for me to intimate to him that I wished to end it, and he'd finish me off painlessly with some nice drug. And if you'd any courage, doctor, I said, you'd do it anyway, Mary cried. Oh, what did he say? The disrespectful young man merely grinned at me, my dear, and said he wasn't going to risk being hanged. He said, if you'd left me all your money, Mrs. Wellman, that would be different, of course. Impudent young jackanapes. But I like him. His visits do me more good than his medicines. Yes, he's very nice, said Mary. Nurse O'Brien thinks a lot of him, and so does Nurse Hopkins. Mrs. Wellman said, Hopkins ought to have more sense at her age. As for O'Brien, she simpers and said, oh, doctor, and tosses those long streamers of hers whenever he comes near her. Poor Nurse O'Brien, Mrs. Wellman said indulgently. She's not a bad sort, really, but all nurses annoy me. They always will think that you'd like a nice cup of tea at 5 in the morning. She paused. What's that? Is it the car? Oh, sorry, Suji. I scared her. Sorry. Sorry, Suji, Mama. What's that? Is it the car? Mary looked out of the window. No, I didn't punch. I put the book down, and that scared her. The book flopped down and made a noise that scared her. Mary looked out of the window. Yes, it's the car. Miss Eleanor and Mr. Roderick have arrived. All right, part 2 of this second chapter. Mrs. Wellman said to her niece, I'm very glad, Eleanor, about you and Roddy. Eleanor smiled at her. I thought you would be, Aunt Laura. The older woman said, after a moment's hesitation, you do care about him, Eleanor. Eleanor's delicate brows lifted. Of course, Laura Wellman said quickly. You must forgive me, dear. You know, you're very reserved. It's very difficult to know what you're thinking or feeling. When you were both much younger, I thought you were perhaps beginning to care for Roddy too much. Again, Eleanor's delicate brows were raised. Too much? The older woman nodded. Yes, it's not wise to care too much. Sometimes a very young girl does do just that. I was glad when you went abroad to Germany to finish. Then when you came back, you seemed quite indifferent to him. And well, I was sorry for that too. I'm a tiresome old woman, difficult to satisfy, but I've always fancied that you had perhaps rather an intense nature. That kind of temperament runs in our family. It isn't a very happy one for its possessors, but as I say, when you came back from abroad, so indifferent to Roddy, I was sorry about that because I always hoped you two would come together, and now you have, and so everything is all right. And you do really care for him? Eleanor said gravely. I care for Roddy enough and not too much. Mrs. Wellman nodded approval. I think then you'll be happy. Roddy needs love, but he doesn't like violent emotion. He'd shy off from possessiveness. Eleanor said with feeling, You know Roddy very well. Mrs. Wellman said, If Roddy cares for you just a little more than you care for him, well, that's all to the good. Eleanor said sharply. Aunt Agatha's advice column, keep your boyfriend guessing. Don't let him be too sure of you. Laura Wellman said sharply, Are you unhappy, child? Is anything wrong? No, nothing. Laura Wellman said, You just thought I was being rather cheap. My dear, you're young and sensitive. Life, I'm afraid, is rather cheap. Eleanor said with a slight bitterness. I suppose it is. Laura Wellman said, My child, you are unhappy. What is it? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. She got up and went to the window. Half turning, she said, Aunt Laura, tell me honestly, do you think love is ever a happy thing? Mrs. Wellman's face became grave. In the sense you mean, Eleanor, no, probably not. To care passionately for another human creature brings always more sorrow than joy. But all the same, Eleanor, one would not be without that experience. Anyone who has never really loved has never really lived. The girl nodded. She said, Yes, you understand. You've known what it's like. She turned suddenly, a questioning look in her eyes. Aunt Laura. The door opened and red-haired Nurse O'Brien came in. She said in a sprightly manner, Well, Mrs. Wellman, here's Doctor come to see you. That was chapter 2. Part 2 just ended. Pramod. Hi, Pramod. Did you really punch? That's a good cat there. Cat is sleeping peacefully. Cat loves nature. Yes. Thank you for joining, Pramod. Happy to see you here. Thank you so much for coming to the live and listening to the story and hanging out with our kitty cats. Wilson Michael says, So I keep collecting feathers wherever I go. I have some amazing feather collection. I use it only once and throw it away. I use it only once and throw it away. What do you use the feather for, Wilson Michael? They started teasing me when read Fine Feathers Make Fine Birds. And also when you read about the massage thing. Because I'm a professional massage therapist too. Oh my gosh! A professional massage therapist, I need a massage. So when we go to Goa, we can also get a professional massage. Goodness. I can give all kinds of massages. Dry, oil, powder, chocolate, clay, especially feather massage, which is absolutely awesome for anybody. So they teased me a lot. Oh, I see. That's why you collect the feathers. You use it in your massage. Okay. That sounds delicious. Massage therapy is really, really awesome. Can do a lot of good. And I'm glad that you're also a professional massage therapist. Tending to the senses, I see, Wilson. Very nice. These ladies are very lucky. They have a tour guide and a massage therapist. I mean, all of the healing can happen during this trip. Everything is taken care of. Goodness. This trip must happen sooner than later. For me. Dr. Lord was a young man of 32. He had sandy hair, a pleasantly ugly, freckled face, and a remarkably square jaw. His eyes were a keen, piercing light blue. "Good morning, Mrs. Wellman," he said. "Good morning, Dr. Lord. This is my niece, Miss Carlyle." A very obvious admiration sprang into Dr. Lord's transparent face. He said, "How do you do?" The hand that Eleanor extended to him he took rather gingerly, as though he thought he might break it. Mrs. Wellman went on, "Eleanor and my nephew have come down to cheer me up." "Splendid," said Dr. Lord. "Just what you need. It will do you a lot of good, I'm sure, Mrs. Wellman." He was still looking at Eleanor with obvious admiration. Eleanor said, moving towards the door, "Perhaps I shall see you before you go, Dr. Lord." "Oh, yes, of course." She went out, shutting the door behind her. Dr. Lord approached the bed, Nurse O'Brien fluttering behind him. Mrs. Wellman said with a twinkle, "Going through the usual bag of tricks, doctor. Pulse, respiration, temperature. What humbugs you doctors are." Nurse O'Brien said with a sigh, "Oh, Mrs. Wellman, what a thing now to be saying to the doctor." Dr. Lord said with a twinkle, "Mrs. Wellman sees through me, nurse. All the same, Mrs. Wellman. I've got to do my stuff, you know. The trouble with me is I've never learned the right bedside manner." "Your bedside manner's all right. Actually, you're rather proud of it." Peter Lord chuckled and remarked, "That's what you say." After a few routine questions had been asked and answered, Dr. Lord leaned back into his chair and smiled at his patient. "Well," he said, "you're going on splendidly." Laura Wellman said, "So I shall be up and walking around the house in a few weeks' time?" "Not quite so quickly as that. No, indeed. You humbug. What's the good of living stretched out like this and cared for like a baby?" Dr. Lord said, "What's the good of life anyway? That's the real question. Ever read about that nice medieval invention, the little ease? You couldn't stand, sit, or lie in it. You'd think anyone condemned to that would die in a few weeks. Not at all. One man lived for 16 years in an iron cage, was released and lived to a hearty old age." Laura Wellman said, "What's the point of this story?" Peter Lord said, "The point is that one's got an instinct to live. One doesn't live because one's reason assents to living. People who, as we say, would be better dead, don't want to die. People who apparently have got everything to live for just let themselves fade out of life because they haven't got the energy to fight. Go on. There's nothing more. You're one of the people who really wants to live. Whatever you say about it, and if your body wants to live, it's no good your brain dishing out the other stuff." Mrs. Wellman said with an abrupt change of subject, "How do you like it down here?" Peter Lord said, smiling, "It suits me fine. Isn't it a bit irksome for a young man like you? Don't you want to specialize? Don't you find a country GP practice rather boring?" Lord shook his sandy head. "No, I like my job. I like people, you know, and I like ordinary, everyday diseases. I don't really want to pin down the rare bacillus of an obscure disease. I like measles and chickenpox and all the rest of it. I like seeing how different bodies react to them. I like seeing if I can't improve on recognized treatment. The trouble with me is I've got absolutely no ambition. I shall stay here till I grow side whiskers and people begin saying, 'Of course, we've always had Dr. Lord, and he's a nice old man, but he's very old-fashioned in his methods, and perhaps we'd better call in young so-and-so, who's very up-to-date.'" Said Mrs. Wellman. "You seem to have got it all taped out." Peter Lord got up. "Well," he said, "I must be off." Mrs. Wellman said, "My niece will want to speak to you, I expect. By the way, what do you think of her? You haven't seen her before." Dr. Lord went suddenly scarlet. His very eyebrows blushed. He said, Oh, she's very good looking, isn't she? And, clever and all that, I should think." Mrs. Wellman was diverted. She thought to herself, "How very young he is, really." Aloud, she said, "You ought to get married." That was part 3 of chapter 2. So I keep collecting feathers. They're all laughing here. They really enjoyed my massage so much and said Wilson's hands are absolutely magical. I taught them a little bit of orienteering too. Taught them how to read maps and compass. Taught them how to get to places using maps and compass. Wilson Michael, you're quite the explorer. Teaching everybody how to explore. Very nice. Magical hands, I believe it. I mean, that sounds really good, ladies. Peruse these magical hands while you can. I mean, I have had some massage therapists, and not everyone has a magical touch or a magical hands. It is rare, even amongst massage therapists. So if you got one, we must be grateful. You can come here and enjoy my massage. I'll have to take you up on it, Mr. Wilson Michael. The exploration and the massage. Sounds good. Sounds good. Part 4 of chapter 2. Roddy had wandered into the garden. He had crossed the broad sweep of lawn and along a paved walk and had then entered the wall kitchen garden. It was well kept and well stocked. He wondered if he and Eleanor would live at Hunterbury one day. He supposed that they would. He himself would like that. He preferred country life. He was a little doubtful about Eleanor. Perhaps she'd like living in London better. A little difficult to know where you are with Eleanor. She didn't reveal much of what she thought and felt about things. He liked that about her. He hated people who reeled off their thoughts and feelings to you, who took it for granted that you wanted to know all their inner mechanism. Reserve was always more interesting. Eleanor, he thought judicially, was really quite perfect. Nothing about her ever jarred or offended. She was delightful to look at, witty to talk to, altogether the most charming of companions. He thought complacently to himself, "I'm damned lucky to have got her. Can't think what she sees in a chap like me." For Roderick Wellman, in spite of his fastidiousness, was not conceited. It did honestly strike him as strange that Eleanor should have consented to marry him. Life stretched ahead of him pleasantly enough. One knew pretty well where one was. That was always a blessing. He supposed that Eleanor and he would be married quite soon. That is, if Eleanor wanted to. Perhaps she'd rather put it off for a bit. He mustn't rush her. They'd be a bit hard up at first. Nothing to worry about, though. He hoped sincerely that Aunt Laura wouldn't die for a long time to come. She was a dear and always had been. Nice to him. Having him here for holidays, always interested in what he was doing. His mind shied away from the thought of her actual death. His mind usually did shy away from any concrete unpleasantness. He didn't like to visualize anything unpleasant too clearly. But afterwards, well, it would be very pleasant to live here, especially as there would be plenty of money to keep it up. He wondered exactly how his aunt had left it. Not that it really mattered. With some women it would matter a good deal. whether husband or wife had the money. But not with Eleanor. She had plenty of tact and she didn't care enough about money to make too much of it. He thought, no, there's nothing to worry about, whatever happens. He went out of the walled garden by the gate at the far end. From there he wandered into the little wood where the daffodils were in spring. They were over now, of course, but the green light was very lovely, where the sunlight came filtering through the trees. Just for a moment, an odd restlessness came to him, a rippling of his previous placidity, he felt. There's something I haven't got, something I want. The golden green light, the softness in the air, with them came a quickened pulse, a stirring of the blood, a sudden impatience. A girl came through the trees towards him, a girl with pale, gleaming hair and a rose-flushed skin. He thought, how beautiful, how unutterably beautiful. Something gripped him. He stood quite still, as though frozen into immobility. The world, he felt, was spinning, was topsy-turvy, was suddenly and impossibly and gloriously crazy. The girl stopped suddenly. Then she came on. She came up to where he stood, dumb and absurdly fish-like, his mouth open. She said with a little hesitation, don't you remember me, Mr. Roderick? It's a long time, of course. I am Mary Gerard from the lodge. Roddy said, Oh, you're Mary Gerard? She said, yes. Then she went on rather shyly. I've changed, of course, since you saw me. He said, yes, you've changed. I wouldn't have recognized you. He stood staring at her. He did not hear footsteps behind him. Mary did and turned. He stood staring at her. He did not hear footsteps behind him. Mary did and turned. Eleanor stood motionless a minute. Then she said, hello, Mary. Mary said, how do you do, Miss Eleanor? It's nice to see you. Mrs. Wellman has been looking forward to you coming down. Eleanor said, yes, it's a long time. Nurse O'Brien sent me to look for you. She wants to lift Mrs. Wellman up, and she says you usually do it with her. Mary said, I'll go at once. She moved off, breaking into a run. Eleanor stood looking after her. Mary ran well, grace in every movement. Roddy said softly, Atalanta. Eleanor did not answer. She stood quite still for a minute or two. Then she said, it's nearly lunchtime. We'd better go back. They walked side by side towards the house. All right, so that was part 4 of this chapter. I actually have to charge my phone for a second, so please be patient for just a moment here and come with me to the kitchen. I need to charge my phone. Sorry. Ooh, and you can look at another cat, my son. My apple of my eye. My baby. Hi, Fuji. I can read your comments as well as I'm charging my phone. Give me just 1 second, please. And we'll start back up from the part 4 of this same chapter 2 of this book. Ooh, and you can see the cat tree with Baji on it. Thank you so much for showing your lovely cat all the time. Because of your cat, we all started telling lots of cat stories and jokes. Some of them are so funny. I'm laughing so much. I'm glad you're laughing. Laughing is great for health. And I'm very glad you're enjoying the cat. My magical hands and fingers can take you to a different world and you will never want to come back. I'm ready. I'm ready for this magical world. I need a massage. Good God. You speak of what I need, Wilson Michael. I have to book a massage. Ugh. My back gets tight, you know? So, and I work out and I swim. The swimming helps a lot. But in general, my back is tight. So, a massage would be good. Most definitely. Give me 1 second while I take out some cookies and eat them as the phone is charging. And then we'll get back to the reading. We're on a pretty interesting chapter. It's chapter 2 of Sad Cypress, and it's going quite interestingly. So please hang tight. Please do hang tight and don't leave us. And we will be right back into the reading, okay? Hang tight. Wilson Michael says you need a good back massage. Then I do. I really do. I do need a back massage. Ugh. Wait a minute. Did I even take out a biscuit? I do need a back massage. Catwoman, yes. I am. with you. When you go home, take my voice with you. When you go home, take my voice with you. Yes. Why is bro asking my age? No worries. You don't have to say. Hi, Nexa. Welcome, welcome. Nexa, welcome to the live. I will do that. I'm so passionate about everything I do. I have lots of travel stories and camping stories. Amazing. say I'm a great storyteller. You're a great story reader and I'm a great storyteller. Very cool. The ladies organized it on their own. They do that often locally. This is the first time they have come to Goa. Wow. I'm glad they left the men behind. No need for men on a trip like this. All the ladies and Wilson Michael is quite enough. The kitty cats are wanting a snack, so let me do that real quick. Give them a little bit of a snack. I love the idea of an all-girls trip. That's amazing. That's so wonderful that you organized an all-girls trip, as you should. And Goa is an amazing location. Wilson is your man now. I mean, that makes sense. It's all the ladies and Wilson. That makes sense. Wilson is our man now. Hi, Suji Fuji Baji. Okay, guys. So actually, let the phone keep charging and hang tight. I have to use the bathroom. Just like you ladies who are using the bathroom in the resort, I need to go upstairs to my own resort and use the bathroom. They're saying Wilson is our man now. They're calling me Mr. Wilson. Remember Dennis the Menace? Yes. Did Dennis the Menace have a Mr. Wilson? I don't know. I do remember Dennis. Didn't Dennis have like Didi, you know, the sister? Let me have some water and use the bathroom. remember Castaway. I don't think I know the Castaway movie. Bubble Candy! Hi, Bubble Candy. Wilson the volleyball. I actually grew up with not a lot of TV. I wasn't allowed to watch a ton of TV, and we didn't have cable, so I might not know these things, Wilson Michael. Bubble Candy, hi. Wilson, please meet my other friend, Bubble Candy, who's in the chat now. Please do chat and keep chatting and sending your messages. I will go use the loo in just a second here. Yeah, I didn't have cable. I didn't have cable. We only had 2 channels. I think I watched some show called Miss India, maybe, I don't know. Like a long time ago. It was when I was really little. I remember a little bit of cartoon, but that's about it. Heike. Bubble Candy. Nice to see you here today. Now I have to go. Oh, I missed Bubble Candy. Sorry about that. Bye. 30-second tricks. Hi. How are you? Heike says, thank you for reading The Sad Cypress by Agatha Christie. Happy weekend to all, and Baji. See you next time. Oh, Heike, I'm still here actually. I'm going to do a little bit more reading today. If you're gone, then bye. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. And you know what? The three ladies have gone to the loo as well. They will be back soon. Yeah, I just came back. I'm sitting here alone waiting for them and enjoying the sea breeze as well. Amazing. Madeline! Hi, Madeline. How are you? It really amazes me how ladies and girls go to the washroom together. And you never know what might happen in the washroom. We have to be united there. Madeline! How are you? Oh no, what's wrong, Madeline? Are you sick? I think you were sick, you said last time. Are you recovering? What's wrong, Madeline? So, like, why do men not go to the washroom together? Maybe it's because of lack of privacy. Well, see, ladies give each other the privacy that we need. I'm on my period. Oh, no! Madeline. Well, hopefully you'll feel better soon, Madeline. Aww. Well, Madeline, rest up. And I'm reading a new story, so you can listen to me reading and just chill and relax and close your eyes. Here's Fuji. Happens at the same time. Yeah, we sync up. We sync up on a lot of things, Wilson. Mysterious are our ways. In this live, we are synced on a lot. Mysterious? Oh, my stomach hurts. I know, Madeline. I feel your pain. Oh, quite literally, Madeline. I'm here for you. Stomach hurts? Oh, my baby. Sometimes a warm bath can help. Mysterious women. Yeah. Oh, stomach hurts. So me and the ladies all went to the bathroom together. Of course we did. You can count on us. You can count upon that. All right. That helped to charge the phone. We did the bathroom. Here's Baji. He's up now. Baji. Baji's a guy. You ladies go through a lot of pain in many ways. Sorry about that, ladies. Well, thank you, Mr. Wilson. Thank you for understanding and being compassionate. Baji, it hurts so bad. Oh, Madeline, I'm so sorry. I have been recommended some dark chocolate, rest, warm bath. Those are the things, Madeline. And just resting. What day is it? Second day? Third day? I mean, it should get better by the fourth day onwards, Madeline. But it can also be longer when you're younger. So, sorry about all the pain, Madeline. Here's Baji to comfort you. Oh, sorry, Baji. Here's my hand. मेरे हाथ में तेरा हाथ हो सारी. 1 week? Oh gosh. Oh, that's a long time. Oh, I do not miss being a teenager. 1 week. Oh, that's a long time, Madeline. Baji and I are holding hands in hopes that it will comfort you. मेरे हाथ में तेरा हाथ हो सारी जन्नतें मेरे साथ हो. Right, Baji? Singing? Baji, do you like my singing? Baji, did you like my singing? तू जो साथ हो फिर क्या ये जहां तेरे प्यार में हो जाऊं फना. This one is my Baji baby. This one is my Baji baby. मेरे हाथ में तेरा हाथ हो सारी जन्नतें मेरे साथ हो. One of my lady friends goes through a lot of pain when she's on her periods. She literally has to take painkillers to kill the pain. Aww. You know, she should see a gynecologist. Make sure that everything is good, you know? Lots of lady friends, Wilson Michael. Practically a lady yourself. Lots and lots of lady friends. Like Baji. Baji has a lot of lady friends too. Right, Baji? He's like a lady himself. Right, Baji? Baji, Baji. Baji, Baji. Madeline, we're very sorry. Hopefully you're close to the end. Oh, Baji. Oh, Baji. Oh, Baji, Baji. I do get to meet a lot of ladies and girls because of my job. Very nice, Wilson Michael. Very nice. You know, it's kind of strange. I get to meet a lot of guys and men because of my job. I've been in very male-dominated fields generally. Not here in this YouTube channel. I think I meet both men and women, but in my jobs, I've had the opposite. It has been mostly very male-dominated. Lots and lots of guys and men. Not as interesting, though. Not as interesting. Yeah. Madeline says, do you remember Gench? Wait, is that some, I don't, Madeline, what is it? Completely the opposite. So you're telling me ladies travel more than guys? I could believe that. Ladies do like an adventure. I don't know if I remember Gensh, Madeline. Is that food? Sorry. Yeah, my career path has been very male dominated. It's mostly all men. It's men with stay-at-home wives. Not very exciting people, boring people. And in general, I find them to not be very adventurous. They don't travel much. So that makes sense if you're saying that you meet a lot of women because they travel more. Makes sense. Wilson Michael. Makes sense. Absolutely. Ladies and girls love adventure more than guys. I can say that from my experience. Wow. You've confirmed something for me. Goodness. I did not realize that I was right about this. Ladies and girls love adventure more. Okay. Okay. Yes. Ah. Oh, that's right, Madeline. You did tell me. It's a plush goose. My plush goose, Gensh. That's right. You did teach me. Gensh is goose. Yes, what's up with your goose, Madeline? What's going on? What's going on with the Gensh? Maybe that's why I travel solo a lot, because I don't know as many women, because the people that I've mainly come across in my careers so far have been men. And, I might be friends with only a couple of them. Most of them I'm not really friends with. So I just have fewer friends, and I've had fewer people to travel with, especially people that are reliable and will do the trip and does not require many delays and coordinations. So this is why I've chosen to just solo travel. I go everywhere alone, just by myself. I take pictures, I make videos, I take trains, planes, automobiles. And I just go by myself. And generally, I do like a tour, just like you're doing a tour for these ladies. I'll do tours when I go someplace new. And I'll be like in a group setting where everybody is a stranger, which is fine. I'm hugging it. And I always do. Oh, good, you're hugging your goose. Good job, Madeline. Yes, whatever comforts you. One of my lady friends solo travels all the time. She has been to many parts of India and abroad. Wow. Very nice, Wilson Michael. You know a lot of interesting people. Baji. All right. Shall we do a little bit more reading before we sign off? Let me get up on this table and show you what Baji's doing. Ah! Okay. Here I am. Baji! Oh. Baji! Oh ho ho ho. Such a cutie. Such a cutie, Baji. Wilson Michael, are the ladies back from the loo? Shall we do a little bit more reading before I sign off? It's great fun to be with complete strangers also at times. Yeah, I think so. I mean, sometimes you just don't have friends coming with you, So you just have to make friends at the new location, at the new place, in the new tour, which is completely fine. I've met people from all across the world in my travels. And even on this YouTube channel, I will say, I'm rather glad that I do the YouTube channel and I've also done travel, because that's actually how I've met more people from all over the world sharing about their lives and cultures and languages and everything than I have in my regular, job life, which I'm kind of stepping away from all that and doing more of this. More of what I love now. Right, Baji? They came back like 5 minutes ago. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna read now. Yes, they are here. They came back like 5 minutes ago. Madeline says it's 23:09 in Germany. All right, Madeline. Very nice. Here we are. We will read. You can carry on with your story. Okay. All right. I'm actually gonna lay down now because we'll be cozy. We will be cozy. Okay, so we just finished part 4 of that second chapter. We're now on part 5 of this second chapter. So we just saw that Roddy met Mary, and Mary was very beautiful. He's seeing her after a very long time, and he's very taken with her. And Eleanor found them in the garden. Part 5. Oh, come on, Mary. It's Garbo and a grand film. All about Paris, and a story by a tip-top author. There was an opera of it once. It's frightfully nice of you, Ted, but I really won't, Ted Bigland said angrily. I can't make you out nowadays, Mary. You're different, altogether different. No, I'm not, Ted. You are. I suppose because you've been away to that grand school and to Germany, you're too good for us now. It's not true, Ted. I'm not like that, she spoke vehemently. The young man, a fine, sturdy specimen, looked at her appraisingly in spite of his anger. Yes, you are. You're almost a lady, Mary. Mary said with sudden bitterness. Almost isn't much good, is it? He said with sudden understanding. No, I reckon it isn't. Mary said quickly. Anyway, who cares about that sort of thing nowadays, ladies and gentlemen and all that? It doesn't matter like it did, no, Ted assented, but thoughtfully. All the same, there's a feeling. Lord, Mary, you look like a duchess or a countess or something. Mary said, that's not saying much. I've seen countesses looking like old clothes women. Well, you know what I mean. A stately figure of ample proportions, handsomely dressed in black, bore down upon them. Her eyes gave them a sharp glance. Ted moved aside a step or two. He said, Afternoon, Mrs. Bishop. Mrs. Bishop inclined her head graciously. Good afternoon, Ted Bigland. Good afternoon, Mary. She passed on, a ship in full sail. Ted looked respectfully after her. Mary murmured, Now, she really is like a duchess. Yes, she's got a manner. Always makes me feel hot inside my collar. Mary said slowly, She doesn't like me. Nonsense, my girl. It's true. She doesn't. She's always saying sharp things to me. Jealous, said Ted, nodding his head sapiently. That's all it is, Mary said doubtfully. I suppose it might be that. That's it. Depend upon it. She's been housekeeper at Hunterbury for years, ruling the roost and ordering everyone about. And now old Mrs. Wellman takes a fancy to you and it puts her out. That's all it is. Mary said, a shade of trouble on her forehead. It's silly of me, but I can't bear it when anyone doesn't like me. I want people to like me. Sure. To be women who don't like you, Mary. Jealous cats who think you're too good-looking. Mary said, I think jealousy is horrible. Ted said slowly, maybe. But it exists all right. Say I saw a lovely film over at Alador last week, Clark Gable, all about one of these millionaire blokes who neglected his wife. And then she pretended she'd done the dirty on him, and there was another fellow. Mary moved away. She said, Sorry, Ted, I must go. I'm late. Where are you going? I'm going to have tea with Nurse Hopkins. Ted made a face. Funny taste. That woman's the biggest gossip in the village. pokes that long nose of hers into everything. Mary said, "She's been very kind to me always." "Oh, I'm not saying there's any harm in her, but she talks." Mary said, "Goodbye, Ted." She hurried off, leaving him standing, gazing resentfully after her. So that was part 5 of this chapter, still on chapter 2, part 5. We'll start part 6 here. My ladies, Madeline, I'm so sorry you're still in pain. My ladies want to know how many books you've read like this so far. I've read 1 full book, Every Breath You Take. So, after this live, you should go check out my YouTube channel. On the live tab, I have read this book, Every Breath You Take fully. It's across a few different live episodes. The videos are all posted now. They're all uploaded on the channel. So you can go play those and audibly read this book if you'd like. I'm on Sad Cypress right now. This is my 2nd book that I'm reading on this channel. They also want to know if you like reading any erotic stories. Not on the live stream. Erotic? Not really. Sorry, ladies, I'm boring. I'm more of a murder mystery type of reader. I might have read, I have read some romance novels. I'm more of like an old school, murder mysteries, romance, Jane Austen, that type. I really love Emma by Jane Austen. If you like romance and love, I'm more of the old school type, not an E.L. James type. Not a gray shades type, if you get what I mean. Like romantic stories. Yes, I do like romantic stories. Yes, I like romantic stories, romance, love. My favorite genre is murder mysteries. Can't beat that. Agatha Christie, what I'm reading now, is my favorite author. Oh, Madeline, okay. Take care. Take care. It will be better, Madeline. But I am not a big on... I also like fantasy. I mean, when I was growing up, of course, I read like all of Harry Potter and all that, Bye, Madeline. See you next time. Okay, we'll be live tomorrow again. Madeline, join us. Maybe you'll find us again today or tomorrow. But yeah, erotic, not so much that. More like romance, love, old school type of stuff. Part 6. Nurse Hopkins occupied a small cottage at the end of the village. She herself had just come in and was untying her bonnet strings when Mary entered. "Ah, there you are. I'm a bit late." Old Mrs. Caldecott was bad again. "Made me late with my round of dressings. I saw you with Ted Bigland at the end of the street." Mary said rather dispiritedly, "Yes." Nurse Hopkins looked up alertly from where she was stooping to light the gas ring under the kettle. Oh, let me move this cushion. Her long nose twitched. Oh, by the way, Wilson Michael, ask your ladies, do they have any book requests that they would like me to read for them? Ask them. Hi, Leroy. Leroy the cat and his human. What book are you reading? This is the book we're reading. Sad Cypress by Agatha Christie. We're on chapter 2, part 6. Okay? All right, so Mary is with Nurse Hopkins. That's where we're at right now. Was he saying something particular to you, my dear? No, he was just asking me to go to the cinema. I see, said Nurse Hopkins promptly. Well, of course he's a nice young fellow and doesn't do too badly at the garage, and his father does rather better than most of the farmers around here. All the same, my dear, you don't seem to be cut out for Ted Biglin's wife. Not with your education and all. As I was saying, if I was you, I'd go in for massage when the time comes. You get about a bit and see people that way, and your time's more or less your own. Mary said, I'll think it over. Mrs. Wellman spoke to me the other day. She was very sweet about it. It was just exactly as you said it was. She doesn't want me to go away just now. She'd miss me, she said, but she told me not to worry about the future, that she meant to help me. Nurse Hopkins said dubiously, Let's hope she puts that down in black and white. Sick people are odd. Mary asked, Do you think Mrs. Bishop really dislikes me, or is it only my fancy? Nurse Hopkins considered a minute. She puts on a sour face, I must say. She's one of those who don't like seeing young people having a good time or anything done for them. Thinks perhaps Mrs. Wellman is a bit too fond of you and resents it. She laughed cheerfully. I shouldn't worry if I was you, Mary, my dear. Just open that paper bag, will you? There's a couple of donuts in it. Oh, all right. That was chapter 2. We just finished all of chapter 2 of this book. Again, we're reading Sad Cypress by Agatha Christie. It's a murder mystery, of course. Love it. And we're about to start chapter 3. Let's read the comments. Wilson says, I'll check with them. Leroy. Leroy said, cool. Oh, thank you, Leroy. And Wilson. Chapter 3. Your aunt had second stroke last night. No cause immediate anxiety, but suggest you should come down if possible. Lord. Okay. Immediately on receipt of the telegram, Eleanor had rung up Roddy, and now they were in the train together, bound for Hunterbury. Eleanor had not seen much of Roddy in the week that had elapsed since their visit. On the 2 brief occasions when they had met, there had been an odd kind of constraint between them. Roddy had sent her flowers, a great sheaf of long-stemmed roses. It was unusual on his part. At a dinner they had together, he had seemed more attentive than usual, consulting her preferences in food and drink, being unusually assiduous in helping her on and off with her coat. A little, Eleanor thought, as though he were playing a part in a play, the part of the devoted fiancé. Then she had said to herself, Don't be an idiot. Nothing's wrong. You imagine things. It's that beastly, brooding, possessive mind of yours. Her manner to him had been perhaps a shade more detached, more aloof than usual. Now, in this sudden emergency, the constraint passed. They talked together naturally enough. Roddy said, Poor old dear, and she was so well when we saw her the other day. Eleanor said, I do mind so terribly for her. I know how she hated being ill. Anyway, and now I suppose she'll be more helpless still, and she'll simply loathe that. One does feel, Roddy, that people ought to be set free if they themselves really want it. Roddy said, I agree. It's the only civilized thing to do. You put animals out of their pain. I suppose you don't do it with human beings. Simply because human nature being what it is, people would get shoved off for their money by their fond relations, perhaps when they weren't really bad at all. Eleanor said thoughtfully, It would be in the doctor's hands, of course. A doctor might be a crook. You could trust a man like Dr. Lord. Roddy said carelessly, Yes, he seems straightforward enough. Nice fellow. Part 3. Dr. Lord was leaning over the bed. Nurse O'Brien hovered behind him. He was trying, his forehead puckered, to understand the slurred sounds coming from his patient's mouth. He said, "Yes, yes, now don't get excited. Take plenty of time. Just raise this right hand a little when you mean yes. There's something you're worried about?" He received the affirmatory sign. "Something urgent?" "Yes, something you want done." "Someone sent for?" "Miss Carlyle? Mr. Wellman?" "They're on their way." Again, Mrs. Wellman tried incoherently to speak. Dr. Lord listened attentively. "You wanted them to come, but it's not that? Someone else? A relation? No? Some business matter?" "I see. Something to do with money." "Lawyer?" "That's right, isn't it? You want to see your lawyer. Want to give him instructions about something?" Now, that's all right. Keep calm. Plenty of time. What's that you're saying, Eleanor?" He caught the garbled name. "She knows what lawyer. And she will arrange with him? Good. She'll be here in about half an hour. I'll tell her what you want and I'll come up with her and we'll get it all straight. Now don't worry anymore. Leave it all to me. I'll see that things are arranged the way you want them to be." He stood a moment, watching her relax, and then he moved quietly away and went out on the landing. Nurse O'Brien followed him. Nurse Hopkins was just coming up the stairs. He nodded to her. She said breathlessly, "Good evening, doctor." "Good evening, nurse." He went with the two of them. Oh, hi, Suji. He went with the two of them into Nurse O'Brien's room next door and gave them instructions. Nurse Hopkins would remain on overnight and take charge with Nurse O'Brien. "Tomorrow I'll have to get a hold of a second resident nurse. Awkward. This diphtheria epidemic over at Stamford." The nursing homes there are working short-handed as it is. Then, having given his orders, which were listened to with reverent attention, which sometimes tickled him, Dr. Lord went downstairs ready to receive the niece and nephew who, his watch told him, were due to arrive at any minute now. In the hall, he encountered Mary Gerard. Her face was pale and anxious. She asked, "Is she better?" Dr. Lord said, "I can ensure her a peaceful night. That's about all that can be done." Mary said brokenly, "It seems so cruel, so unfair." He nodded sympathetically enough. "Yes, it does seem like that sometimes, I believe." He broke off. "That's the car." He went out into the hall. Mary ran upstairs. Eleanor exclaimed as she came into the drawing room, "Is she very bad?" Roddy was looking pale and apprehensive. The doctor said gravely, "I'm afraid it will be a rather shock to you. She's badly paralyzed. Her speech is almost unrecognizable. By the way, she's definitely worried about something. It's to do with sending for her lawyer. You know who he is, Miss Carlyle?" Eleanor said quickly, "Mr. Seddon of Bloomsbury Square, but he wouldn't be there at this time of the evening, and I don't know his home address." Dr. Lord said reassuringly, "Tomorrow will be in plenty of time, but I'm anxious to set Mrs. Wellman's mind at rest as soon as possible. If you will come up with me now, Miss Carlyle, I think together we shall be able to reassure her." "Of course, I will come up at once." Roddy said hopefully, "You don't want me?" He felt faintly ashamed of himself, but he had a nervous dread of going up to the sick room, of seeing Aunt Laura lying there inarticulate and helpless. Dr. Lord reassured him promptly. "Not the least need, Mr. Wellman. Better not to have too many people in the room." Roddy's relief showed plainly. Dr. Lord and Eleanor went upstairs. Nurse O'Brien was with the patient. Laura Wellman, breathing deeply and stertorously, lay as though in a stupor. Eleanor stood looking down on her, shocked by the drawn, twisted face. Suddenly, Mrs. Wellman's right eyelid quivered and opened. A faint change came over her face as she recognized Eleanor. She tried to speak. Eleanor. The word would have been meaningless to anyone who had not guessed at what she was trying to say. Eleanor said quickly, "I'm here, Aunt Laura. You're worried about something? You want me to send for Mr. Seddon?" Another one of those hoarse, raucous sounds. Eleanor guessed at the meaning. She said, "Mary Gerard?" Slowly, the right hand moved shakily in assent. A long burble of sound came from the sick woman's lips. Dr. Lord and Eleanor frowned helplessly. Again and again it came. Then Eleanor got a word. Provision? You want to make provision for her in your will? You want her to have some money? I see, dear Aunt Laura. That will be quite simple. Mr. Seddon will come down tomorrow, and everything shall be arranged exactly as you wish. The sufferer seemed relieved. The look of distress faded from that appealing eye. Eleanor took her hand in hers and felt a feeble pressure from the fingers. Mrs. Wellman said with a great effort, "You, all, you." Eleanor said, "Yes, yes, leave it all to me. I will see that everything you want is done." She felt the pressure of the fingers again. Well, thank you, Leroy. Subscribed. I'll hope to get to 3,000. Thank you. She felt the pressure of the fingers again. Then it relaxed. The eyelids dropped and closed. Dr. Lord laid a hand on Eleanor's arm and drew her gently away out of the room. Nurse O'Brien resumed her seat near the bed. Outside on the landing, Mary Gerard was talking to Nurse Hopkins. She started forward. "Oh, Dr. Lord, can I go in to her, please?" He nodded. "Keep quite quiet, though, and don't disturb her." Mary went into the sick room. Dr. Lord said, "Your train was late. He stopped. Eleanor had turned her head to look after Mary. Suddenly she became aware of his abrupt silence. She turned her head and looked at him inquiringly. He was staring at her, a startled look in his face. The color rose in Eleanor's cheeks. She said hurriedly, "I beg your pardon. What did you say?" Peter Lord said slowly, "What was I saying? I don't remember. Miss Carlyle, you were splendid in there." He spoke warmly, quick to understand, reassuring, everything you should have been. The very faintest of sniffs came from Nurse Hopkins. Eleanor said, "Poor darling, it upsets me terribly seeing her like that." "Of course, but you didn't show it. You must have great self-control." Eleanor said, her lips set very straight. "I've learned not to show my feelings." The doctor said slowly, "All the same, the mask's bound to slip once in a while." Nurse Hopkins had bustled into the bathroom. Eleanor said, raising her delicate eyebrows and looking fully at him, "The mask?" Dr. Lord said, "The human face is, after all, nothing more nor less than a mask." "And underneath?" "Underneath is the primitive human man or woman." She turned away quickly and led the way downstairs. Peter Lord followed, puzzled and unwontedly serious. Roddy came out into the hall to meet them. "Well?" he asked anxiously. Eleanor said, "Poor darling, it's very sad to see her. I shouldn't go, Roddy, till she asks for you." Roddy asked, "Did she want anything special?" Peter Lord said to Eleanor, "I must be off now. There's nothing more I can do for the moment. I'll look in early tomorrow. Goodbye, Miss Carlyle. Don't worry too much." He held her hand in his for a moment or two. He had a strangely reassuring and comforting clasp. He looked at her, Eleanor thought, rather oddly, as though he was sorry for her. As the door shut behind the doctor, Roddy repeated his question. Eleanor said, Aunt Laura is worried about certain business matters. I managed to pacify her and told her Mr. Seddon would certainly come down tomorrow. We must telephone him first thing. Roddy asked, Does she want to make a new will? Eleanor answered, She didn't say so. What did she? He stopped in the middle of the question. Mary Gerard was running down the stairs. She crossed the hall and disappeared through the door to the kitchen quarters. Eleanor said in a harsh voice, Yes? What is it you wanted to ask? Roddy said vaguely, What? I've forgotten what it was. He was staring at the door through which Mary Gerard had gone. Eleanor's hands closed. She could feel her long, pointed nails. She could feel her long, pointed nails biting into the flesh of her palms. She thought, I can't bear it. I can't bear it. It's not imagination. It's true. Roddy, I can't lose you. And she thought, what did that man, the doctor, what did he see in my face upstairs? He saw something. Oh, God, how awful life is to feel as I feel now. Say something, fool. Pull yourself together. Aloud, she said in her calm voice. About meals, Roddy, I'm not very hungry. I'll sit with Aunt Laura and the nurses can both come down. Roddy said in alarm, And have dinner with me? Eleanor said coldly, They won't bite you. But what about you? You must have something. Why don't we dine first and let them come down afterwards? Eleanor said, No, the other way's better. She added wildly, They're so touchy, you know. She thought, I can't sit through a meal with him, alone, talking, behaving as usual. She said impatiently, Oh, do let me arrange things on my own way. All right, so that was chapter 3 of this story. We're on to chapter 4 next, that we'll pick up on tomorrow. Let me read your messages. Leroy said, cool. Wilson said, one of them saying, what about The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy? Others cannot think of anything right now. That's a good suggestion. Very good suggestion indeed. God of Small Things. Some of them are enjoying their vodka and beer and go on Fenny. So they cannot think about books. Lol, we'll let you know once we get back to Kolkata. Sounds good, Wilson Michael and the ladies. Sounds very good indeed. Enjoy your beer and your vodka and your Fenny. I don't know what a Fenny is. I know what Goa is. But have a great time. Have a great trip. I hope that I see you again tomorrow, same time. You know, tomorrow afternoon, Eastern Standard Time, I will be going live again with the kitty cats and reading for you. So along with your ocean or home or whatever you're doing, I do hope that you can join us and listen to more of this book, and we can chat and hang out and chill with the kitty cats. Wilson also said, it's so beautiful here in the tents, the sound of waves and your story with your beautiful voice. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that my voice is there with the waves. It's a very happy thought for me. What time in Indian time? Well, Wilson Michael, what time is it now in India? Whatever time it is now, subtract like 3 hours, and that's the time that we will be live again tomorrow. In Indian time. Hey Google, what time is it in India right now?
The time in India is 3:08 a.m. on Sunday.
Goodness, 3 in the morning. Beers and vodkas and Fenny at 3 in the morning. Lovely. Sounds like a lovely time. So tomorrow, perhaps midnight-ish, maybe like your 11:30 p.m. or midnight, please be ready for our live again. And have a great day tomorrow with the tours and the boat ride and the ladies and seeing the dolphins. Please say hi to the dolphins for me. I love dolphins. So while you're going on your tour tomorrow, have a lovely time. And I'm giving them a massage too. Oh, okay. Well, I'm feeling a little sad now that all this massage and ocean and boat ride is happening for these ladies and not me. I'm feeling slightly sorrowful about this. Amazing. But yeah, have a great day. Have a great tour tomorrow. And then by the time it is around 11:30 or midnight, please turn into a pumpkin and come listen to my story tomorrow as well during our live. And for the USA people, it'll be Eastern Standard Time around 1:30, 2 p.m. that we will go live again and we will hang out again and chat. And Germany, Finland, Ireland, Iceland, Europe, everybody, Africa, South America, everyone, welcome to our live again tomorrow. Please do join. And once this video uploads as the live replay upload video, please do check it out. And if you wouldn't mind writing a comment or something so that I know that the video is working properly and gets uploaded properly onto the channel, that would be really marvelous if you could do that. And like the video and share it if you can. I'm trying to get to, I don't know exactly how many subscribers I have right now, but I'm trying to get to, I don't know, 5,000 subscribers, let's say, at this time. So any help from you guys would be much appreciated. Thank you so much for joining my live and chit-chatting and hanging out and listening to the story. Thank you so very much. Really appreciate you and your support. Have a great day, the rest of the day. Have a great night, the rest of the night. They want to make the most of it. Sure, we will do. We will have more stories to tell. Yes, you will have more stories to tell from the boat trip. That sounds lovely. Enjoy the dolphins, enjoy the ocean waves, the blueness, the emptiness, the fullness, and the greatness of the ocean. I love it. As usually have inspired me to go see the ocean myself. So I might just do that actually. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're a beautiful person. Thank you, Wilson Michael. Yeah. It's been nice sitting here with you all. Take good care of yourself. Thank you. Will do. You too. And your cats. Yeah. Will do. Hi, Glenna. Hi, Glenna Nuri. We're just about done with the reading for today, but we will be live again tomorrow. Reading more. And with cats again tomorrow. Beautiful cats. I love cats. Wilson Michael, if you're gonna be up all night, you're gonna do the tour tomorrow. Sleepless? Sleepless on boat ride? Or are you gonna sleep? What time is your tour? I told you that in the live stream. Don't worry. About what? Oh, about the sleep. Okay. Okay. Have a good night. And I suppose good night to the Arabian Sea. I'm imagining it here myself. The waves of the waves of the place. It's Goa, the place for fun. That makes sense. I mean, I stay up really late too. I wish you were here. Me too. It's Goa. I'm sad that I'm not there. I've never been to Goa. I need to go. I'm so sad. I need to be in Goa. But that's okay. I'll make it happen. I would take you on the boat trip. You better. You better take me on the boat trip when I'm in Goa. What's Goa without a boat trip? Of course, we would go on this cruise. We can see some islands. We can see the dolphins. We can see the blue ocean / sea. Give beautiful feather massage. Sounds good. Sounds good. My phone's gonna die, but I'm just hanging out until it dies. Why not? We finished till chapter 3. So remember, tomorrow we will start from chapter 4. And all the other massages too. Okay. Back, neck, shoulder, oil massage. I need a scalp oil massage. Is what I need. A scalp oil massage, you know? Thank you. You're so kind. All right, I'm gonna rest now. You might fall asleep. Yes. Mm-hmm. Hi, Suji. Because the massage will be so good, a good head massage. Yeah, that's exactly what I need. A good head massage to fall asleep to. Hi, Suji Mama. Hi. Hi. It will be so enjoyable. You will love it. head scratches for the kitty. Yeah, absolutely. We all need some head scratches here. Thank you, Leroy, for subscribing. Please like, share, subscribe. And thank you so much for all your help and support for the channel. We'll keep reading. We'll keep reading tomorrow. Oh. Oh, Suji. Are you feeling sleepy? Yes, I am. I might just fall asleep myself. Yep. A little bit sleepy myself. Hi, Richard. They're thanking you for reading the book. Absolutely. I will be reading again more tomorrow, okay? So, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for listening while I read. I'm going to charge my phone. I'm going to share the live again. Thank you, Richard. Appreciate you. Please subscribe. You'll see lots of videos with these kitty cats on the channel. I have one cat. He takes a good picture. I have 5 cats. Yay! Richard has 5 cats. That's awesome, Richard. Turn some lights on. Here's Baji. Five cats. That's amazing. I have one cat. Leroy says, Richard has 5 cats. Wilson says, oh my, 5 cats. Good. Great. Say hi, Suji. Look. People are saying you're pretty. Yeah. Good. I'm glad you're providing a home for 5 cats. Guffy says I love cats. Oh, thank you, Guffy. Thank you so much. Cats love you. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Here's baby. Here's my Fuji. Oh, Fuji. Oh, baby. Baby Fuji. I suppose I'm the Leroy's human part of the title. Yeah. I suppose I am the Leroy's human. I like that name, Leroy. That's a good name. I like it. It's regal. I like it. I see, yeah. I see the cat. That's my cat above me. Aww. I love their face. I love the kitty cat's face. So cute. Guffy has my cat. Yeah, they look very similar. They look so similar. Suji's a huntress. Alright guys, I'm gonna share the live. Please do subscribe and check it out when this video posts on the channel, okay? Thank you. Thank you for being here.